Audi, BMW, Mercedes, and domestics, it's honest, reliable repairs at low prices. For the mechanic you can trust, call Fairfield Motor Works, 203-333-1800. So when your car goes ping or swoosh, call 203-333-1800. Fairfield Motor Works in Fairfield off exit 25. They keep you going. Fairfield Motor Works.
Unlock the potential of your business with Constep, Connecticut's premier manufacturing consulting firm. For over 25 years, Constep has focused on growth opportunities and client success in a changing manufacturing world. Their expert team of trusted advisors offers tailored solutions combining technical know-how with workforce strategies for transformative results. To help your manufacturing company reach its full potential, visit constep.org and schedule a free consultation. That's CONNSTEP.org.
I'm Barbara from Trumbull, and I've used Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning since 2012 when he diagnosed the source of a carbon monoxide problem when no one else could. I use him for maintenance and emergency situations for that reason. He has always been able to fix any problem in my home. There's no one better than Steve Basso.
Looking for a reliable plumbing or HVAC company? Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and AC has proven customer satisfaction since 1974. Go to BassoPHAC.com. That's BassoPHAC.com.
WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut. Weather update.
Sunny and mild through this afternoon with a high in the mid-70s and a breeze out of the south. Clouding over this evening with a shower at 2 after midnight and a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to The Download on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut. Now, another in-depth interview with Lisa Wexler.
And welcome to the show. News 8 has just announced an exclusive with a shout out to reporter Jeff Derderian that the person that is being called the Connecticut cannibal, Tyree Smith, who will be released from prison soon in a decision that is causing a lot of controversy in the state, actually showed aggressive behavior while in prison, according to documents that were reviewed by News 8. And Smith was found not guilty by reason of insanity, which is what we have as a verdict for people who commit crimes when they are not in their right minds. And so what we say as a civilized society, and this verdict is available in many states, is that people can't be held accountable in the same way for crimes that they commit while under a psychosis, schizophrenia, that they could be if they were in their, quote, right mind and committed such a gross, unimaginable act. And so what we do is we put them away in psychiatric hospitals instead of jails. And in this case, Tyree Smith murdered Angel Gonzalez with a hatchet inside a Bridgeport apartment in 2011. Why, you say? Well, Angel Gonzalez took pity on this homeless man and invited him in for a meal. And as thanks, he encountered a person with active psychosis who took a hatchet and then ate portions of his brain and eyeball and took them to a local cemetery. And Angel had to be buried, and his family mourned him. And at trial, a judge panel looked at Tyree Smith and said, it wouldn't be fair to sentence you to a regular prison for this unimaginable crime, because we can see that you are a victim of a terrible disease called schizophrenia. And while under the throes of that disease, being untreated by medicine, you had a psychotic delusion and you acted under that delusion. So we're going to put you in this other place called Whiting. We're going to put you in the prison in Connecticut for those who are insane and commit criminal acts. But we're going to put you there for 60 years because we feel as judges, looking at the heinous crime that you did commit, that you represent a true, clear, present, imminent danger to the public, and you shouldn't be let out for a really long time. Now, the laws of the state of Connecticut provide that a psychiatric review panel that is composed of psychiatrists, but not lawyers and not judges, can overrule that sentence. And they can find at any time within the serving of a sentence like this in a hospital for the criminally insane that the person has been rehabilitated and is all better. And they can release that person. And so they've decided to release Tyree Smith. They are releasing him after serving only 10 years of a 60-year sentence. 10 years of a 60-year sentence. And the problem with this, the biggest problem with this, is that the disease that Tyree Smith suffers from is incurable. It's an incurable disease. One cannot be rehabilitated from having schizophrenia. It is a falsehood. And I would go toe-to-toe with any of the people on the Psychiatric Review Board and argue the point from a position of presiding over well over 1,000 hearings of people with schizophrenia and taking testimony from no fewer than 3 psychiatrists at every single one of those hearings. Schizophrenia is a disease that can only be managed while being treated. And the treatment is medicine. And the medicine works to a point for most of the time. But many, many people with schizophrenia stop taking their medicine. And we have absolutely no way in Connecticut to compel somebody to take medicine when they are not in a hospital. We can make rulings. Yes, you have to take medicine as a condition of your release. And if we find out you're not taking it, we can bring you back. We can do that. But we do not have a mechanism where we can restrain people and force them to take injections or force them to take pills against their will unless they are in a hospital, which Tyree Smith will not be very soon. And this system that we have in Connecticut, where a psychiatric review board can take a 60-year sentence and reduce it to 10, in my opinion, makes no sense for you, for me, or for Tyree Smith, much less the family of the victim, Angel Gonzalez. How does that make sense in any person's right mind? And when you're found not guilty by reason of insanity, as a matter of law, you're actually not guilty. You do not even have a criminal record that you have done this dastardly deed. So I want to play for you a little bit of News 8 because they discovered this morning that there's even more to the story that the public didn't know.
The incident report detailing Smith's time at the Garner Correctional Facility back in April 2013. It says that Smith admitted to an officer that inmate, whose name has been redacted, was talking trash to him. So Smith hit him in the face and then shoved him to the ground. The report goes on to say the inmate who was attacked did not fight back. After that prison brawl, authorities determined Smith was too dangerous to return to the general inmate population. And yet, the state psychiatric review board now says the so-called Connecticut cannibal has been rehabilitated and that it's safe for him to return to society.
So what are we going to do? Thank you for that report, News 8. What are we going to do when, which is completely foreseeable, Mr. Smith gets tired of taking his medicine? I will tell you that it is the rare instance, it happens, but it's rare, that somebody with this diagnosis takes their medicine forever without a lapse. Usually, at some point, they go off their medicine for a while, and then their family, their friends, their support system, they get readmitted to the hospital, they're very, very sick. Sometimes the light bulb goes on and they take their medicine for a really long time, for a while at a time. Then maybe they stop taking it again and they take it. And what happens is when they don't take the medicine, the fancy word for that thing that happens to them is called decompensating. It's a fancy medical word for saying the symptoms come back. For some people, decompensation can take a few weeks, maybe a few months, maybe if you're very, very lucky, more than that. For some people, the symptoms come back within a day. Within a day. There are people with very, very severe cases of schizophrenia. And if they miss 1 dose or 2 doses of a medicine, they're right back to their delusion, psychotic thinking. Somebody takes an axe to somebody if they're schizophrenic, usually because they believe that that person is the devil. That person is somehow an evil spirit that has to be, frankly, chopped out. They have delusions of thinking sometimes that that person is going to get them first, so they attack in advance to protect themselves. This is usually what they believe. And this is an illness, no question about it. But it is not an illness that can be rehabilitated. It is not a tumor that can be cut out and a doctor can say, you're cured now. It is the tragic nature of schizophrenia that it is incurable right now. Maybe one day I'll be able to get on the radio and say we found a cure, but not right now. So to say that someone's been rehabilitated? Rehabilitated implies to me a state of conscious mind where a person has true remorse for what they've done and says, I'll never do it again. I was in my right mind then. I'm in my right mind now. I'll never do it again. Or maybe if you stretch the word, it can be used to say the disease was cured. Coming out of a sentence, 10 years, only 10 years? This is not the only case. This is one of 3 that I've been reporting on in the last 6 months. And it points out, if you're listening to me right now and you're a legislator, to me, it points out a grave need for reform in our criminal justice system, a grave need for reform and restraint with respect to the boundaries that a psychiatric review board should have in a case like this. I don't see how it's defensible to allow a psychiatric review board to dismiss somebody from a prison for the criminally insane when they have committed murder under a psychosis like schizophrenia, and they've been given a 60-year sentence. I do not fathom how somebody like that could be let out in only 10 years. I'm Lisa Wexler. We'll be right back.
WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut. Weather update.
Sunny and mild through this afternoon with a high in the mid-70s and a breeze out of the south. Clouding over this evening with a shower or 2 after midnight and a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Now, let's take a look back with Norman. Let's hear what happened today in WICC history.
It's April 29th. Connecticut's Elias Howe got a patent for his automatic continuous clothing closure. We know it as the zipper. In 2011, Prince William and Kate Middleton got married at Westminster Abbey in London with over 1 billion people watching worldwide.
Lots of shucks from the crowd here. The first public kiss as husband and wife.
And happy birthday to Stratford's born and raised in Bunnell High School graduate Javier Colon, the first winner of The Voice.
The winner of The Voice is Javier Colon.
Time after time. Time after
April 29th.
That was today in WICC history. Every day just before 2 on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 600 and 95.9. This is where Fairfield County comes for local news. WICC 600 and 95.9. The Voice of Connecticut. WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump is marking 100 days of his second term by holding a rally in Michigan while his administration softens some tariffs on the auto industry. CBS's Natalie Brand has the details.
The auto industry would not be subject to those 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum, obviously key materials for automobiles and auto parts. The 25% tariff on foreign auto imports would still remain in place. And when it comes to auto parts, we're learning that those two would not be subject to kind of the stacked tariffs of, steel and aluminum, as well as fentanyl tariffs.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said today tariff talks are continuing, but he wouldn't name names. And the lack of information about the trade war continues to unnerve investors and consumers. Damon Phillips owns a cigar shop in Atlanta.
It is going to have an adverse effect on communities that are not used to struggling, not used to hard times. I think it's going to affect them a lot more than other communities.
Consumer confidence slumped for the fifth straight month. CBS's Kelly O'Grady.
We saw consumer confidence overall hit the lowest level since May of 2020. That was just a few months into the pandemic when there was all of that uncertainty about where things would go.
And that uncertainty is weighing on businesses, delaying or even canceling their outlooks, and some are worried about holiday sales. Cargo shipments have plummeted. Analyst Bert Flickinger.
Strategic Resource Group said orders have to be in by Memorial Day at the latest, and hope to get back to school shipping in pre-Labor Day because the shelves are already 40 to 80% empty on imported goods, especially imported goods from Asia.
Amazon says it is not planning to list added tariff costs next to the prices of products on its site. The White House had denounced the move. Amazon says the idea was never approved. Faculty and students at Columbia University have wrapped up a 25-hour speak out for academic freedom.
Columbia is complying with the Trump administration's demands to have hundreds of millions of dollars in federal funding restored. That's not going over well with many on campus who lashed out at the university's board of trustees.
Has been complicit in some agreements that we're not necessarily all in agreement about in terms of influencing some of our curriculum.
Social work professor Susan White.
We are in a crisis. Our funding has been cut.
Columbia says its actions will preserve its independence. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 375 points. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-962-2403. 800-962-2403. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-962-2403.
WICC 695.9. Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
The 45-year-old man who struck and killed a state trooper on I-84 in Southington in May of 2024 has been sentenced to 18 years in prison. Alex Oyola Sanchez pleaded guilty in February to first-degree manslaughter for the hit-and-run death of Trooper Aaron Pelletier. The trooper was conducting a traffic stop at the time. Oyola Sanchez previously served 9 years in prison for the murders of 3 people in Puerto Rico. A 45-year-old Norwalk man is charged with murder in the death of his former mother-in-law. Police said Ili Stopaku attacked 70-year-old Lyda Shape with a baseball bat yesterday at an apartment complex in Trumbull. It is believed the attack was prompted by an argument. Bond for Shtapaku was set at $3 million. 3 people are injured after a car crashed into 5 other vehicles at a car wash in Norwalk. The crash happened yesterday morning at Russell Speeder's Car Wash on Main Avenue. The driver of the car that struck the 5 vehicles was taken to the hospital, along with 2 people who were hurt at the scene. The cause of the crash is under investigation. State Democrats held a news conference yesterday in response to the Trump administration's decision to end a Biden-era student loan program that would forgive student debt. The Department of Education has instead been instructed to send accounts in default to collectors. Republicans defended the move by the president, with North Branford Republican Representative Vin Candelora advocating for personal responsibility to WFSB Channel 3.
There has to be some level of responsibility on the individuals when they're taking on debt. This notion that government should be responsible for everything.
However, state Democrats are pushing back, encouraging Connecticut students who are struggling with student loans to instead take advantage of the state's loan debt program, which forgives up to $5,000 a year. At the news conference attended by Channel 3, Canton Democratic Representative Eleni Kavros de Gras pushed back against the assertion that debt is not the government's responsibility.
Frequently, we hear from folks, well, I paid for mine, they should pay for theirs. And I just want to remind everyone, when we're talking about this debt relief that is now being canceled, we have bailed out the airline industries more than once. We have bailed out automakers more than once.
And carnival goers at Jennings Beach were the victims of a middle school prank this past weekend after a group of kids began spraying a flatulence spray at the carnival exit. Although harmless, the spray caused several people to run and scream, which alarmed others in the area who did not realize what they were fleeing from. This resulted in several groups of people running away in fear without realizing the harmless nature of the prank. Fairfield police were quick to dispel any rumors of danger at the carnival in a post online. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound construction, exits 31 and 30, right lane is out. Then you have it in both directions between exit 44 and exit 43. Stay to the left to get through. Upper Merritt Parkway southbound construction from exit 53 down to exit 50. Stay left to get through. Wilbur Cross northbound roadwork from Route 34 going up to exit 60. Right lane is blocked. And Route 8 southbound, you have construction through Seymour, and 691 westbound, a crash approaching exit 2A. Stay left to get around it. Traffic report powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliason and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Andrew Krause, WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
So, from the moment or the minutes that we are little kids on up into and through adulthood and, maybe into our adulthood, one thing we try and do, right, if we have any sort of smarts on us, is learn from our mistakes, right? I was always taught that. I'm sure you were taught that as well. Hey, our coaches taught us properly, maybe our Little League coaches or Pee-wee football or high school coaches, whatever. Our teachers taught us that. Our moms, our dads, our pastors, our rabbis, our imams. We always hear this, learn from your mistakes. Okay, I get it. And still, having just turned 64 at this stage of my life, I'm like, how did I kind of screwed that up on the show the other day, or I screwed that up with my personal life. Let's see next time, because there's going to be a next time. We all know that. Let's make sure that we learn from our mistakes. And if you learn from your mistakes, you can then say, okay, if I get in this situation again, how do I get my opinion over? How do I get my ideas over? How do I somehow change the trajectory of my life or of a decision I make and do things better. Well, everybody has been clutching pearls and beating their breasts the past few days because of the 100th day marking the first 100 days of the Trump campaign. And a guy that's been out there a lot, that we talk about a lot, is Chris Murphy. Now, Chris Murphy is our junior U.S. Senate member, and he's still, if you take it at an aggregate look, he's 51 years old, so he is now rumored to be in the next wave of Senate leadership. You know, they're trying to nudge the Chuck Schumers out, the Dick Durbins out, the older folks. I say, well, you know, it's time, and I like that. I don't care what party it is. Get out. When you get to your late 60s, early 70s, get out. It's been enough. Go home. Enjoy your kids or your grandkids. So Chris Murphy has been out doing these, these speaking tours, if you will, and that's fine. Look, I give him credit. Him and Maxwell Frost and some younger Democratic leaders say, hey, we're going to go into these Republican areas because the Republicans won't do it because a lot of people are upset with Trump, and in some ways, I don't blame him. So Chris Murphy is out there. And there was a big Associated Press story that came out a couple of days ago that's been posted on a couple of sites here in Connecticut. And I find it interesting because in reading this story, and you can find the story at the Connecticut Mirror, the big headline is Chris Murphy takes his emergency message on the road. And it's an Associated Press story that was posted early yesterday. You can find it on the Connecticut Mirror. You can find it in the Capitol Report from our buddy Tom Dunchik. Now, it's interesting because it's a long story. I'm not going to read too much of it here. But the key lines in this story are literally the last lines in the story. And they are the most powerful lines in the story. And this story is several paragraphs. It's on the longish side. But in fact, let me scroll down here and look at it again because I think it may be just one line or two. Let me see, scroll up. No, it's one sentence in this entire story uttered by Chris Murphy, and he gets it. It's the one sentence in this entire story that supersedes any of the crying, the whining, the pearl clutching, the brow or breast beating that we're hearing about Trump's 100 days. Now, first 100 days. Here's the question. Is his party smart enough? Because they can cry and bitch and moan all they want about Trump, and Lord knows there's been reason to, but are Democrats smart enough to realize what they have to do? Stay close and do a little business here. Come back, and I will read you that sentence because that provides our question of the day, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC.
This spring, the WICC staff is live and local with everything you need to know every single day. Join Melissa in the morning starting at 5 for Southern Connecticut news updates and exclusive interviews. The Lisa Wexler Show starts at 10, where Lisa speaks her mind and wants to hear what's on yours. All the latest news headlines continue at noon on the Download with John and Chris. Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli goes live at 2 for the latest as you head home. And it's all live every weekday on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 600 at 95.9.
Columbia Dental invites you to come to their Norwalk office for your entire family's dental health. It is their mission to provide you with comprehensive dental care you and your family deserve. Visit Columbia Dental in Norwalk, located at 91 East Avenue, open 5 days a week, or visit their Manchester location at 483 Middle Turnpike West, open 7 days a week. Columbia Dental, here for you and your family for regular checkups or emergency visits. ColumbiaDental.com.
Discover the finest flooring in Southern Connecticut at Courtesy Carpet. With over 50 years experience, we've got your flooring needs covered. From intricate area rugs, durable vinyl and laminate to elegant stair runners. Shop anywhere, but make sure to see us before you buy. Visit courtesycarpet.com to explore our extensive selection. Visit Ellen, Jay, and the team at Courtesy Carpet, Route 111 in Monroe. Trust us, the experts in quality flooring. Because at Courtesy Carpet, your satisfaction is our courtesy.
Unlock the potential of your business with Constep, Connecticut's premier manufacturing consulting firm. For over 25 years, Constep has focused on growth opportunities and client success in a changing manufacturing world. Their expert team of trusted advisors offers tailored solutions combining technical know-how with workforce strategies for transformative results. To help your manufacturing company reach its full potential, visit constep.org and schedule a free consultation. That's CONNSTEP.org.
Hi, I'm Lee Gainham, that garden guy from Gainham's Garden Center and Florist in Fairfield. Do you have questions about your garden? Tune into That Garden Guy Sunday mornings at 8 for an hour of lively talk about your favorite pastime. We'll have weekly do's and don'ts and gardening tips of the week for our specific area, and we'll take your phone calls so we can offer solutions to problems you may be having in your lawn and garden right now. Call in and talk with me, That Garden Guy, Sunday mornings at 8 on WICC 600 and 95.9.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound construction, exits 31 and 30, right lane is out. Then you have it in both directions between exit 44 and exit 43. Stay to the left to get through. Upper Merritt Parkway southbound construction from exit 53 down to exit 50. Stay left to get through. Wilbur Cross northbound road work from Route 34 going up to exit 60. Right lane is blocked. And Route 8 southbound, you have construction through Seymour, and 691 westbound, a crash approaching exit 2A. Stay left to get around it. Traffic report powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliason and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Andrew Krause, WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight, a low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high and low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid-60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
If it's Bridgeport, the Valley, Fairfield County, and affecting your world, Paul Pacelli is talking about it. Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli, WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Big, long story here, a big scroll-down story about Chris Murphy and Maxwell Frost and a bunch of Democrats that are going around the country because it's been 100 days since Donald Trump has resumed office. Trump 2.0 after his third run. And look, I think he's pulled a good number of screw-ups here. Now, some of the stuff he's done I like. Other stuff I sit there and faceplant. But here's the bottom line. Chris Murphy says in this article, here's and it's a long story, and you can scroll down and read the whole stinking thing. Here's the line that matters. Quote from Chris Murphy. Our party has made mistakes, and if we don't learn from those mistakes, Murphy said, we're cooked. Yes, Senator, you're right. Your party is cooked. So I ask you, especially if you despise Trump, if you're a proud Connecticut Democrat, And we'll have audio coming up later on in the show. Democrats holding a news conference today in Hartford. Attorney General Tong, Governor Lamont, Lieutenant Governor Susan Bisowitz, and they're all a quiver, all crazy about Trump. Well, listen, let me ask you folks, and I'll ask you folks this. Why did more than half of the country vote for this guy after they knew what he was about, and yet, knowing everything about Trump that they knew, they elected him a first time, almost elected him a second time, and elected him a third time? So is it about Trump, or is it about how distasteful the great, grand Democratic Party has become? I'm serious. 203-333-9422. 333 WICC. Yes, I know his poll numbers are cratering already, and it's been 100 days, and people are upset. But the guy, how many millions of people voted for this guy 3 times, electing him twice because they found the other side and its candidates so distasteful? Explain that to me. And in these lines, Chris Murphy is right. Our party has made mistakes, and if we don't learn from those mistakes, we're cooked. Yes, Senator, with all due respect, I agree with you 100%. I do. So that's why I posted this on our Facebook page today, facebook.com/Voice of CT. Chris Murphy says his party has made mistakes and may be cooked if they don't learn from them. Is he right? Might the modern-day Democratic Party, not here in Connecticut, it's a blue state, it will be for the foreseeable future. I get that. That's how people vote. But, I really have to sit here and laugh, honestly. I'm chuckling at everybody who is pushing back on Trump, and that's fine. You can do that. Give us your alternative, because you sure screwed up in the run up to the election a few months ago, didn't you? And I'm sorry if I'm a little jaded here at here, a dictator. I have friends of mine, Mussolini, Hitler. Oh, stop it. Some of the most ridiculous stuff, until he gives us more evidence that we're going down a dictatorial path, which we're not. The guy's almost 79 years old. He's only going to be around for a few more years. You know it, and we know it. The guy's not immortal. Come on. Calm down. And if he goes off the rails any further, he can be removed rather easily if his own party, if the Republican Party says, yeah, that's enough, this is too far. It can and will happen. But no one in almost any branch of the media wants to tackle the real issue in the room, and it's not going away. Why did he win again? And this time, how come? I know you're all nuts. Oh, look at the poll numbers, 100 days. He wore the wrong color suit to the Pope's funeral. Oh my God, he got a corporate sponsor for the Easter egg roll. All right, fine. It's a simple question. If the guy is so egregious, if he is Satan, Beelzebub, Stalin, Marx, Hitler, Mussolini, all rolled in to one nice, tidy, clean, zipped-up package, how did he win? How did he win? This guy was not a third-party candidate. This is not George Wallace. This is not John Anderson. This is not Eugene Debs. This is not some third, fourth, or fifth-line guy here. And yet you have the pants-on-fire media running around here like they don't understand this. Then the other night at the White House Correspondents Association dinner, you had I forgot who this guy is. I got to pull that story up for you later. You had some self-aggrandizing jerk get up there and said, we, meaning the media. This guy gets up there the other night. He's like, well, we dropped the ball on the cognitive decline of Joe Biden. Yeah, you sure did. While at least 2/3 of America saw it, and you people said nothing because you weren't being objective. You don't think that was a big? You don't think that was what was a big help to Trump on a silver platter? Oh my God, come on. So yes, Chris Murphy is right. He's 100% right here. Our party has made mistakes, and if we don't learn from those mistakes, we're cooked. However, you'll hear the sound bites coming up in the show later on to listen to our leaders in Hartford, Governor Lamont, Lieutenant Governor Bisowitz, Attorney General Tong. They have their heads firmly buried in the sand, and they show no intentions of pulling up and getting fresh air anytime soon. Anne Marie in Stratford. Anne Marie, good afternoon. How are you?
Hi. Yes, if I'm available, I'll talk to you. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm good, Anne Marie. How are you? What's up?
Okay. I'm going to throw my ideas out there for your question, my answer.
Okay.
One thing is, I think he tends to tap into people's fears and prejudice. In other words, it's the... let's say the immigrants taking all our jobs and this and that. He knows how to tap into what people are feeling. Democrats don't always do that.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats tend to say everything's good, everything's doing fine, but they don't discuss more real-life issues.
Okay.
They don't get down with people and say, look, I know you're worried about the price of eggs, and this is why we had let's say a chicken flu. There's a lot of we're going to try to work on it. And, I'm saying just talk to a common person the way a common person speaks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say something that's going to anger a number of your listeners, but I'll say it anyway, because I'm not afraid. That's just like you're not. We both have cuyuns, as they say.
Okay.
I say what the biggest mistake the Democrats made was not bringing him to trial and getting through it sooner. And even if he was found not guilty, fine, it would have been over. But if he was found guilty, we wouldn't have been in the position we are now, dealing with, that he's here.
Yeah, but he was found guilty on those 34 felonies.
Not of the insurrection, not of treason. They didn't even touch that.
Yeah.
I'm saying what they should have done on a federal level was go after whatever they felt they could and had evidence. They moved too slow. And if you move too slow, you're dead. That's what I know.
Okay.
They bury you.
All right, Anne-Marie, thank you.
That's my opinion.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Anne-Marie. And there was a thought at the time as to why they didn't do it. And to Anne-Marie's point, I did have a lot of legal experts on here who said, that's a state of mind case that you almost could never prove. But to Anne-Marie's point, maybe just the visual would have helped.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound construction, exits 31 and 30, right lane is out. Then you have it in both directions between exit 44 and exit 43. Stay to the left to get through. Upper Merritt Parkway southbound construction from exit 53 down to exit 50. Stay left to get through. Wilbur Cross northbound road work from Route 34 going up to exit 60. Right lane is blocked. And Route 8 southbound, you have construction through Seymour, and 691 westbound, a crash approaching exit 2A. Stay left to get around it. I'm Andrew Krause, WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut, broadcasting from Cadillac of Greenwich Studios, CadillacofGreenwich.com.
This is the Duchess Restaurant Concert Guide. Duchess Restaurants. Fresh food served fast.
This week's concert listing includes Friday, May 2nd, Kane Brown with Scotty McCreery at Mohegan Sun Arena with a second show on Saturday night. Also, Friday, May 2nd, Ramon Ayala at Webster Bank Arena in Bridgeport. Also on Friday, The Concert, a tribute to ABBA at Toyota Presents the Oakdale Theater. On May 3rd, it's night 2 of Kane Brown with Scotty McCreery at Mohegan Sun Arena. Also Saturday, May 3rd, Lori Morgan takes the stage at Great Cedar Showroom at Foxwoods. Also on Saturday, singer-songwriter Larry Fleet at Toad's Place in New Haven, and Mike Dale Judas at the Palace Theater in Stamford.
The Duchess Restaurant Concert Guide. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, get fresh food served fast at any one of our 12 Duchess restaurants located throughout Connecticut. Duchess Restaurants. Fresh food served fast.
When you switch to Progressive and bundle your home and auto, you could save hundreds, and that's a surprising amount of money.
Whoa, that's like farmer's market money.
That's like give me a gallon of that locally sourced raw honey money.
That's certified organic heirloom tomatoes in every imaginable color except red money.
That's let's get 2 pounds of pink oyster mushrooms money. I'm not even sure I like pink oyster mushrooms.
Guess it's time to find out. Because you could save hundreds when you switch to Progressive and bundle. Then the world is your pink oyster mushroom. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Watch. On the 100th day of the Trump administration, the focus is on the economy. Olivia Rinaldi reports there are 18 trading relationships under discussion, but we don't know much else.
There have been a lot of questions about what specifically there will be tariffs on and what is going to go into place and who these deals are actually with.
Many companies are still waiting for answers and delaying or even canceling their outlooks. CBS's Kelly O'Grady.
We've heard from companies over this earnings season. A lot of them are pulling their guidance, and they're just in a wait-and-see mode.
Ian Lee reports on the investigation into yesterday's tragic crash that left 3 kids and a teenager dead at an after-school building in central Illinois. The driver, a 44-year-old woman.
She is currently not in custody, and that is in line with the police saying that they believe this was not a targeted attack. They say that a toxicology report is still pending right now.
CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Earlier this afternoon, Governor Ned Lamont, along with other state Democratic officials, held a news conference to discuss President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office. Among those who spoke, Attorney General William Tong.
Because if we don't have checks and balances, and the president can do whatever the hell he wants, okay, not only is he a dictator, not only is it authoritarianism, these words sometimes don't have meaning. What does it mean? It means that if he doesn't have to listen to anybody and can do whatever he wants, then Congress becomes optional. What does he need Congress for? Laws become optional. State legislatures become optional. Governors, attorneys general become optional. Rights become optional. Your rights and mine. And what ends up happening is people get hurt. That's what's happening right now.
That was Attorney General William Tong. He was joined by Governor Ned Lamont, as well as other Democratic state leaders. In other news this afternoon, the man known as the Connecticut Cannibal Killer will soon be released from prison on what is called conditional release. But the victim's family is deeply angered and troubled by this, especially as new information about the killer is now coming to light. Tyree Smith killed Angel Tuntun Gonzalez in Bridgeport in 2013 and then ate part of the victim's brain and eyeball in a nearby cemetery, washing it down with sake. In March, Smith was granted conditional release after the state's Psychiatric Security Review Board voted unanimously to grant Smith psychiatric release, stating that expert testimony reflected that Smith was safe to be released. Conditional release means that all of his treatment and care will be done in the community and not at Connecticut Valley Hospital in Middletown. However, WTNH-TV News 8's Jeff Dadarian found some new information that contradicts what the review board wrote in its decision.
The incident report detailing Smith's time at the Garner Correctional Facility back in April 2013. It says that Smith admitted to an officer that inmate, whose name has been redacted, was talking trash to him. So Smith hit him in the face and then shoved him to the ground. The report goes on to say the inmate who was attacked did not fight back. After that prison brawl, authorities determined Smith was too dangerous to return to the general inmate population. And yet, the state psychiatric review board now says the so-called Connecticut cannibal has been rehabilitated and that it's safe for him to return to society.
A handful of Republican state senators have written to Vanessa Cardella, the psychiatric board's executive director, posing several questions and criticizing the decision to release Smith. Dedarian also spoke with Talitha Frazier, the sister-in-law of Gonzalez, about her feelings about the decision.
He gets to reunite with his family. April 25th was Angel's birthday. He turned 57. We didn't get to see him. We only have ashes. And it hurt.
Dedarian concluded by asking Frazier what it was she missed most about her brother-in-law.
Just seeing his smile.
In other news, police in Ansonia say they have identified some of the suspects involved in a street takeover this past weekend. Around 100 people were in the street at Wakely Avenue and Franklin Street when the first police officer arrived and a person jumped on the cruiser's hood. The officer backed up to escape the crowd and crashed into a parked car, and the crowd scattered when other officers arrived. Police are not naming any of the identified suspects at this time, saying that the investigation is ongoing. The head of the Connecticut State College and University system is stepping down after reports of his excessive spending. Terrence Chang has reached a settlement agreeing with the governing board overseeing the public college system that he will step down at the end of June. Chang will shift into an advisory role and will continue to earn his $442,000 a year salary until he leaves the job. He came under criticism by state lawmakers after an audit showed lavish spending that included limo rides, $60 steaks, and large bar tabs. The decision to have the chancellor keep his salary in the new role has drawn harsh criticism from state Republicans. Brookfield Republican Senator Steve Harding told WFSB Channel 3 that the behind-the-scenes nature of Chang's settlement was a slap in the face to Connecticut taxpayers.
I don't understand how you execute a $400,000+ a year contract for a Board of Regents employee, how that doesn't see the light of day or a discussion at a meeting. It's a complete slap in the face to the taxpayers of the state.
And cell phone service is getting an upgrade on Metro North New Haven train lines. Governor Ned Lamont says 30 high-powered macro cell phone towers and smaller compact cell nodes are now installed on the rail line. Lamont says the availability of high-speed networks is critical in order for Metro North to be attractive to workers and employers. The improved service is through a partnership between the state and AT&T, with the company investing $6 million in the project. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound construction, exits 31 and 30, right lane is out. Then you have it in both directions between exit 44 and exit 43. Stay to the left to get through. Upper Merritt Parkway southbound construction from exit 53 down to exit 50. Stay left to get through. Wilbur Cross northbound road work from Route 34 going up to exit 60. Right lane is blocked. And Route 8 southbound, you have construction through Seymour, and 691 westbound, a crash approaching exit 2A. Stay left to get around it. I'm Andrew Krause, WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight. A low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
If Trumbull is talking about it, so is Paul. Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Lord knows I, criticize Chris Murphy from time to time when I think he says dumb stuff. And when I think he says correct stuff, I'll just as quickly praise the guy. Hey, who's better than him? 51 years old, a Senate member from an affluent state. But Chris Murphy is out with some other young Democrats, trying to kind of revamp the party. Listen. From a tactical point of view, I understand why he's doing this. It's a perfect time to do this. Trump's poll numbers aren't real good. A lot of stuff he's juggling in the air. So, you go in for the rhetorical body slamming you can. But here's the question. Are the folks in the Democratic Party, including a lot of you folks here in Connecticut, listening to me, hi, how are you? at 239. Are people going to listen to Chris Murphy? Because I think he's right on this one. He's 100% right. Big AP story, how Chris Murphy's out there. You scroll all the way to the bottom of the story. And the last sentence of the story, quote from Chris Murphy, "Our party has made mistakes, and if we don't learn from those mistakes, we're cooked." Period. End of sentence. Close quotations. Is he right? Is the Democratic Party, not here in Connecticut, the party here is good and strong, very blue in the state, but is he right? Could the party be cooked? Or is the great old Democratic Party just going through now what the Republicans are going through that started back in 2016 when everybody saw Mr. Trump coming down the gold escalator at Trump Tower and went, look at this Gavone, look at this stooge. Well, what's happened 3 election cycles since then? 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Talk or text, whatever you think here. And our Facebook question of the day, facebook.com/voice of CT. Chris Murphy says his party has made mistakes and may be cooked if they don't learn from them. Is he right? Because, you friends out there who are on the other side of the aisle to me politically, but I love you. Big warm hug. Come here. Oh, yeah. Big warm hug. No, seriously. This is 3 cycles in a row now. 2 that Trump won, 1 that he almost won. Save for 3 states and about 40,000 votes. So people say, well, MAGA's taking over the Republican Party. All right. Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. Yeah. All right. Yeah. What's happening on the other side? That, kids, is almost, it's never discussed. It's never discussed. And let me ask you, and look, I'd love to hear from the people who don't like Trump. That's fine. The other side is sending Bernie Sanders out there the answer? AOC, maybe it is. At least with Bernie out there, you get the thing I love about Bernie. I've said this often. Nobody can take a 1-syllable word like him and make it 2. We are standing here. Bernie, where's here? Come on. You know what I'm talking about. But seriously, what's the answer? What's the answer? You can sit there and bang your head all day about Trump. Hey, I get it. I understand it. But was not the door opened for Mr. Trump because of what the other side was at least perceived of not doing? Doesn't it work both ways here? Or as Bernie would say, here? Oh, man. Chris in Stratford's with us. Chris, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, Paul, you're absolutely right on a lot of stuff. The charade they pulled with Biden and then coming up with Harris as their candidate just doomed them. I mean, it was just a poor performance, and I think Chris Murphy's absolutely right, though. He's going to be a little more subtle about it.
Yeah.
And if they come up with another candidate, like either from the AOC Bernie Sanders school, they're going to lose again.
You know who they need?
With someone.
Chris, you know who they need? Another Bill Clinton. Another Bill Clinton. That's who we need. Remember when Clinton came? Nobody gave him a chance. Remember that? And then he got on the road, and everybody was like, "Listen to this guy! Oh my God!"
Right.
I mean, he was a breath of fresh air, if you remember, right, Chris? I mean, Clinton.
Right, and he was. And also, I mean, a guy who's relatively fiscally conservative, who is an off-the-wall liberal.
Yeah.
It's just a sort of a middle of the road, and I hate to even say the name because it would. And thank you. I'm not promoting him as a candidate.
Yeah.
But look what Lamont has done in Connecticut.
Yep.
Sometimes he's with the Republicans. Sometimes he's with the Democrats.
Yeah.
That sort of national candidate would have a chance. They're going to shoot themselves in the foot if it's an AOC or Bernie Sanders type, or even if it's another Harris type. They've got to come up with somebody to vote for instead of just voting against Trump, because they're not going to win on a just vote against vote.
No. Chris, thank you. Good thoughts there. Chris in Stratford, appreciate it. But Chris said something interesting. It just registered with me a couple of seconds after he said it. He said something to the effect of they need a nice middle-of-the-road guy. Can a middle-of-the-road guy, maybe not like a Ned Lamont. Now, of course, Ned's not going to run for the White House. He may not run for another 4 years. We're supposed to find out about that in July. So in the next maybe 8 to 12 weeks, we'll find out about the governor's race next year. But having said that, our last caller said, well, a middle-of-the-road guy that people will want to vote for and can run. Here's the thing. Can a middle-of-the-road guy or gal on either side right now, Democratic or Republican, can a quote-unquote middle-of-the-road guy or gal raise enough money? Because remember, you know who dictates getting the support? It's the people with the big bank books, the big bank rolls, the big checkbook, the big checkbook, like my relatives say. Here's a check. I got to get, hold on. I got to get him a check, right? 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Direct quote from Connecticut Junior Democratic Senator Chris Murphy. Quote, our party has made mistakes, and if we don't learn from those mistakes, we're cooked. End of sentence. Period. Stop. Close quotes. Is Chris Murphy right? Could the Democrats be cooked?
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor, is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
A satisfied employee is beneficial for employers. Stress, anxiety, burnout all lead to issues for employees, which affect employers. I'm Teresa Christie, owner of Total Balance Life Choice. Our REAP programs educate employees on how to be the best version of themselves. REAP stands for resilience, empowerment, authenticity, and productivity. All are nurtured and cultivated in Total Balance Life Choice workshops. Provide the best for employees to get the best for your company. TotalBalanceLifeChoice.com.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound construction, exits 31 and 30. Right lane is out. Then you have it in both directions between exit 44 and exit 43. Stay to the left to get through. Upper Merritt Parkway southbound construction from exit 53 down to exit 50. Stay left to get through. Wilbur Cross northbound road work from Route 34 going up to exit 60. Right lane is blocked. And Route 8 southbound, you have construction through Seymour, and 691 westbound, a crash approaching exit 2A. Stay left to get around it. I'm Andrew Krause, WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Listen on Alexa.
And you'll never miss a moment.
Back to Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
And talk or text, same number. Either send the text or a call with your dulcet tones. 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Facebook question of the day, facebook.com/voice of CT. Pretty similar. Chris Murphy says his party has made mistakes. Pretty simple, I should say. Has made mistakes, may be cooked. That's the word he's using. Cooked if they don't learn from them. Is he right? Could it get to the point where what is known as, and even on the Republican side too, look, these parties have withstood the test of time, both for a couple of 100 years here. Could it be now, and I read an interesting story about this the other day, There are some people saying, hey, the only way the Democrats will ever come to, if you look at the present day, chances in the midterms and in 2028, there were some people saying, hey, form a new party. Talking particularly about the Democratic side of the aisle, but people have said that about the Republican side too. Are the brands, both on the Democratic side of the aisle and the Republican side of the aisle with Trump, are the brands so tarnished? Is that the word? Yeah, I guess. Would the brands be so tarnished that if you're going to appeal to a new, younger generation of voters on both sides, you have to kind of rebrand here? I don't know. But again, Chris Murphy's out there with Maxwell Frost and a few other young Democrats saying, hey, the party has made major mistakes here, and we may be cooked, and he used that word, C-O-O-K-E-D, cooked, if they don't learn from them. Now, are there any indications they're going to learn from them? I don't know. They haven't shifted on the transgender athletes. They don't show overtly too much of a shift on immigration and migrants. They don't show too much of a shift openly or subtly on taxes or guns or anything. So maybe maybe we're just dug in here, right? Maybe it's just a scenario of, well, this is the way it is, just the way other countries have all their parties in their parliamentary system, and people just grow up and they learn to deal with it. I don't know. But if you are you don't like Trump, you're not a Republican. If you're one of these people, and Lord knows I have friends who I haven't lost any friendships over this. Life is too darn short. Whether it's in the family, whether it's among work friends or longtime friends, don't end friendships over politics. It's really dumb. If somebody doesn't agree with you on the left or right, just move on. Be done with it, move on. Well, you're a Nazi for voting for Trump. Yeah, whatever. Okay, what's for dinner? Because here's what I always say. If somebody threatens a friendship with you over politics, then they're not your friend. They're not. You have to understand that. Old buddy of mine, old boss on radio, 2 or 3 stations ago, you know what he said to me? He goes, we overuse the word friend. We have very few real, honest-to-goodness friends in life. And a friend, a true blue friend who helps you, who is there for you in the good times and in the bad, a true blue friend is not going to never speak to you again over politics. It's just not going to happen. As my friend said, and I do consider him a true friend. He helped me out through some tough times. Listen, we have a lot of acquaintances in life. We have a lot of associates in life. We have a lot of people we know in life. We have very few friends. But ask your quote-unquote friend or whatever. Say, well, okay, then. We know you don't like Trump. Well, what do you then advise the other side to do? Because according to Chris Murphy and a lot of other people, well, they've made mistakes. And how do you rectify a situation? The first thing you need to do, right? Whether it's politics or sports or business or your personal life or lives, you got to kind of admit, yeah, I screwed up here. So forget what happened. Forget what's going on now. Let's look ahead here. Now, are they going to heed Chris Murphy's call? Because he has made, listen, I know a lot of you folks are not Murphy fans out there. He's made a couple of good points along this whole thing. One thing he says is, stop the litmus test. For you anti-Trump folks, stop wanting everybody to be perfect as the driven snow. Unite around a few things, and if you disagree about guns, if your friend's progressive but he or she likes guns, let him like guns. If your friend is conservative on the border but is liberal on everything else, all right, let him be conservative on the border. You're never going to find two people who are exactly alike. You're just not. Andy in Derby's there. Andy, what's up with you, sir?
Pauluch, I'm just calling to blow you,
Okay.
Yeah, Murphy's right. The Democrats are cooked. My granddaughter's going to be 4 in September. She could see that, no big whoop. But what are they doing, Paul? You got Spartacus and the other guy holding sit-in demonstrations after he did his 25-hour filibuster.
Uh-huh.
Bernie and AOC are flying private jets around to condemn oligarchs supported by Soros.
Yeah.
They're totally fragmented. They got a lynch mob for, what's his name, the guy I like in New York. Oh, I can't think of his name.
Cuomo.
No, the guy they're trying to kick out now, the senator, the head of the...
Schumer.
Chuck
Schumer.
Schumer.
Yeah.
They're trying to lynch him.
Yeah.
They're totally fragmented. I mean, I'm happy because I don't want them in. But, Giggles is starting to look good.
Yeah, well, she's apparently going to run for governor of California, is what they're saying.
Oh, my God.
Well,
at least she can't do any harm out there, so that'd be a good place for her,
But here's the thing, and Andy, thank you for the call, my friend. Appreciate it. He was, of course, referring to Kamala Harris. Don't laugh, because remember, let me give you a little... Don't laugh at her, and I'm not pointing this to Andy, but I've heard people say, oh, she's going to run for governor. Well, she's doing well in the polls, but think about something. She was a member of Congress, as was somebody else in American history. She got tapped to be vice president, as somebody else was in American history. She then was thought to be the natural successor, ran for president and lost, as somebody else did in American history. She is now looking to become governor of California, as that same other person did in American history. A lot of people, again, think Kamala Harris is done, but she's got a, decent chance to be in the national spotlight again and look to another run after being a governor, as somebody else did in American history. Have you figured it out yet? I'll tell you who right after the break. Traffic and weather together right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound construction, exits 31 and 30, right lane is out. Then you have it in both directions between exit 44 and exit 43. Stay to the left to get through. Upper Merritt Parkway southbound construction from exit 53 down to exit 50. Stay left to get through. Wilbur Cross northbound road work from Route 34 going up to exit 60. Right lane is blocked. And Route 8 southbound, you have construction through Seymour, and 691 westbound, a crash approaching exit 2A. Stay left to get around it. I'm Matt Krause, WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight, a low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid-60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Back to the news and talk, thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC's 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli.
Have you figured it out yet? Right? I mean, when Kamala Harris's name is coming up again for governor of California, have you figured it out yet? Think about it. Served as a lawyer in somewhat of a visible position, elected to Congress just like somebody else, named a VP candidate, served as VP just like somebody else, was thought by many to be a shoo-in for president, ran, lost the race just like somebody else. is considering a run for governor, that somebody else also ran and won a run for governor of California and used that to propel himself back to the White House. Richard M. Nixon. Don't laugh at Kamala Harris. I'm telling you, look at what, remember, you won't have Nixon to kick around anymore. Oh, you won't have Kamala Harris to kick around anymore. She's, oh, no. But I'm telling you, the parallels are, they're out there. Don't laugh. I'm not saying they're the same person from politics or whatever, but think about it. I tell you that the governorship of California, you might as well be the president, the premier, or the prime minister of a country there if you're the governor of California. A lot more coming up right here. Boy, I got something to upset you after the news.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump is marking his 100th day in office by traveling to Michigan and giving automakers a break of sorts from tariffs. CBS's Stacey Lynn at the White House.
According to senior Commerce Department officials, the executive order will include offsets for automakers who finish cars in America and an exemption from stacking tariffs on parts. The relief is designed to allow all the domestic auto manufacturers to grow their plants, employment, and build more factories in the U.S.
While the Trump administration is touting its economic policies, consumers are still wary, as Kelly O'Grady of Money Watch reports.
New numbers today, consumer confidence. People are not feeling good, and that expectations index, how people feel about the next 12 months when it comes to the economy, the labor market, and their personal financial situation, has dropped to the lowest level since October 2011. And particularly in the labor market, 32% of people surveyed think that employment is going to fall over the next 6 months.
Job openings have fallen to their lowest levels since September. UPS says it's cutting 20,000 jobs globally, partly because it expects fewer Amazon shipments due to tariffs. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says it carried out more than 66,000 arrests in President Trump's first 100 days. It claims 3 out of 4 of those arrests involved unauthorized immigrants with criminal records. The Trump administration has fired the authors of a key report on how climate change is affecting the nation. Allison Keyes has that.
The last national climate assessment came out in 2023 and found that climate change was already transforming every region of the nation. But getting rid of the authors puts the report at risk, and an email sent to authors says the scope of the report is currently being reevaluated.
As measles cases surge, Mexico has issued a U.S. travel alert. It's reporting more cases, mostly in an area that borders Texas. Sean McKenna is a pediatrician in Richmond, Virginia, where cases have been reported now.
So it's really one of the most contagious viruses we've ever been able to identify. And so if we get into situations where measles is spreading in communities, bringing it back under control becomes incredibly challenging.
Once again, much of the nation's midsection could experience severe weather. Meteorologist Grant Gilmore is tracking a massive storm system.
We've got an enhanced threat for severe weather for parts of western Pennsylvania up into New York, and it stretches all the way down into Texas.
Over 73 million people are under the threat of severe weather today. The Dow is up 331 points. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-230-2777, 800-230-2777, or biglou.com.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Governor Lamont and other Democratic state leaders held a news conference earlier today. The topic was President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office. However, the governor was also asked his opinion on the head of the Connecticut State College and University system stepping down. Terrence Chang will still receive a salary of $442,000 a year until he leaves the job. The governor and his response.
I mean, we stepped up. I think we've done the right thing. When it comes to Terrence Chang, he had a contract. We're going to finish off that contract, but we have new leadership for the CSU system, and I think that's the right thing to do.
Chang has reached a settlement agreement with the governing board overseeing the public college system that he will step down at the end of June. Chang will shift into an advisory role and will continue to earn that salary until he leaves the job. He came under criticism by state lawmakers after an audit showed lavish spending that included limo rides, $60 steaks, and large bar tabs. The decision to have the chancellor keep his salary in the new role has drawn harsh criticism from state Republicans. Brookfield Republican Senator Steve Harding told WFSB Channel 3 that the behind-the-scenes nature of Chang's settlement was a slap in the face to Connecticut taxpayers.
I don't understand how you execute a $400,000+ a year contract for a Board of Regents employee, how that doesn't see the light of day or a discussion at a meeting. It's a complete slap in the face to the taxpayers of the state.
Connecticut's decision to increase bottle returns from a nickel to 10 cents has attracted attention from out of state. State officials say trucks carrying beverage containers are coming into border towns from Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New York to take advantage of the higher deposit returns. Some in the legislature are looking for ways to address the issue, calling it cross-border fraud. A bill under consideration would require anyone redeeming over 1,200 containers a day to provide personal information. UConn is confirming that the visas of 13 students that had been terminated by the Trump administration have been restored. The visa records had been terminated for 12 current students and one recent graduate still completing training, threatening to disrupt their academic careers. UConn officials say their records are now restored, meaning they can resume their studies and work uninterrupted. The students are all based on the UConn Stores campus. And carnival goers at Jennings Beach were the victims of a middle school prank this past weekend after a group of kids began spraying a flatulence spray at the carnival exit. Although harmless, the spray caused several people to run and scream, which alarmed others in the area who did not realize what they were fleeing from. This resulted in several groups of people running away in fear without realizing the harmless nature of the prank. Fairfield police were quick to dispel any rumors of danger at the carnival in a post online. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound late running construction between exits 31 and 30. Right lane is blocked until they're done. Northbound plan about 45 minutes from Stamford going through Bridgeport. A few breaks along the way through, of course. Parkway overall is slightly easier. And on 84 eastbound, some extra cars making their way through Danbury. Traffic report powered by Courtesy Carpet Flooring Design Center. Now's the time for a fresh new look for your home. Save on top flooring brands at Courtesy Carpet. No big box gimmicks, just fair, honest prices. Courtesy Carpet, Route 111 in Monroe. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, 203-333-9422. 333 WICC. A lot more coming up in the program. Let me just correct something right up front. I spoke. I spoke. How do they say it now? They don't say people, or sometimes nobody says they were wrong. They spoke. What's the phrase? It's not misremembered. When you lie, a lot of it is, well, you know, I misremember. Oh, I mistakenly said. That's it. I mistakenly said Richard Nixon won the election against Pat Brown. No, Pat Brown won. I had Ronald Reagan on the brain there. But in any event, you know, Nixon running for that governor's seat kept him, you know, out front. So don't laugh. Kamala Harris is following the same Nixonian path. Anyway, I think 203-333-9422, 333 WICC. You may have heard this in Chris's news if you were listening there. You should be. Terrence Cheng. Have you been following this story? Now, we told you a lot about this on the program when it was happening. Look, this guy is the chancellor of the state university system. Now, that's not UConn. UConn is a different standing university system, obviously, with the different UConn campuses. This is the Mr. Cheng, Chancellor Cheng, is instead, he is technically the Connecticut State Colleges and Universities Chancellor. Now, there are 6 schools that make up what they call the CSCU system. Eastern Connecticut, WestCon, Southern, and Central, plus a couple of other schools whose campuses escape me right now. But it's a 5 or 6 school system, and basically Terrence Cheng was the boss. And you remember this from last year, I think early to mid-year last year, they found out that Mr. Cheng was doing things, how should we say this? Technically, there might not have been of any crimes, but he was, you know, they found out that he was running his ability to spend money on the state's dime a little loose with lavish dinners, chauffeured rides. So bottom line is he was spending more money than he should have. I don't think there was any, you know, there in the end of this whole thing, there wasn't anybody disputing that. So it turns out that he's going to, well, you know, and you heard the governor's soundbite there with Chris at the top of the hour. Well, he's out of a job, but he's not really. So he's not going to be the CSCU chancellor anymore. But you know what? We'll just let him fill out. We'll just let him run out his contract. So basically nothing happens. I mean, you would, and I know, well, he's made restitution. I mean, they take us all for fools. But you know what? What can you do? Well, what did you want, Paul? I think the guy should have been fired. That's what I want. If you abuse spending at a private business, most of the time, you're in deep crap. And again, I'm not trying to be vindictive here, but basically, nothing happened to the guy when he was using, in a sense, the compensation package that he is given out of state tax money, out of the money you and I pay with our wages. We pay to the state in various ways, taxes, fees, and everything, and was found to have done stuff that if you or I did under a private business, we could be in deep trouble. But again, I don't know why they did this. Were they worried about litigation? I have no idea. But the bottom line is, the guy, and the governor said, well, you know, we've made a change. You made a change? Big deal. The guy still gets it. Well, his contract is going to run out. And nothing happens to the guy. Nothing. But again, this is what happens when you elect the same people year after year after year.
You listen to Melissa in the Morning, live from the Voice of Connecticut studios. But now, she's coming to your town.
Order up.
It's the WICC Brown Roofing Melissa in the Morning Diner Tour. Thursday mornings starting May 1st. Join Melissa Sheketoff as she broadcasts live from diners across Fairfield County. She'll interview local leaders, selectmen, and everyone that makes your town great. Get a full schedule at voiceofct.com and join us. Presented by Maritime Chevrolet, AARP Connecticut, and Connecticut Education Association.
Experience the future of primary care right in the palm of your hand. With Hartford Healthcare's HHC 24/7 app, you'll get expert primary care anytime from the comfort of home. Connect with a virtual provider and concierge team who know your medical history. Use HHC 24/7 for acute illnesses to manage your medications, chronic conditions, specialty referrals, and more. All major insurance plans are accepted. Text HHC 247 to 85209 to download the app and never wait again for care with Hartford Healthcare.
Get ready, Stanford. The Legends of Funk are bringing the party to town. Kool and the Gang, live at Stanford Palace, Friday, May 16th. Sing along to the hits you know and love. Celebration, Ladies Night, Get Down on It, and so many more. It's the ultimate feel-good night out. Tickets are going fast. Get yours now at palacestanford.org. Kool and the Gang. One night, all the hits. Don't miss it. Tickets at palacestanford.org. That's palacestanford.org.
The rave reviews for Fairfield Motorworks say it all. Ron in Fairfield bought his Mercedes and says, "Love this place. I've finally found a mechanic I can trust." Diane in Shelton had her Nissan serviced and says, "This shop is the best. They go above and beyond for the mechanics you can trust. Bring your car to Fairfield Motorworks." 203-333-1800. Fairfield Motorworks in Fairfield off exit 25. They keep you going. Fairfield Motorworks. 203-333-1800.
LifeBridge presents The Courage to Understand, Nurturing a Trauma-Informed Community Symposium, a free event open to the public Wednesday, April 30th at Housatonic Community College. This community education event will explore the causes of violence in children, the connection to trauma, and how communities can collaborate to prevent and reduce the impact. Join The Courage to Understand Wednesday, April 30th, 5 p.m. at Housatonic Community College. Space is limited, so visit lifebridge.org to register.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text SKINNY to 323232 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text SKINNY to 323232 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 323232. That's SKINNY to 323232. SKINNY to 323232.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound lane running construction between exits 31 and 30. Right lane is out until they're gone. 95 north, over 40 minutes from Stanford going through Fairfield. Lower Merritt is even easier right now. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight. The low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high in low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
He might not agree with you, but he promises to listen. Join Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli, 203-333-9422, WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
So I guess if you're a state of Connecticut employee and you just flout how you spend taxpayer money, nothing happens to you. Am I wrong? Here's Mr. Chang, Terrence Chang here. Exhibit 1A, Your Honor. And again, this is nothing against Mr. Chang personally. I've never met the gentleman. I have no idea about his family. He's probably a very nice guy. But the governor is letting this guy slide because, they don't want, the state employees, let's not upset people. What else can it be? Am I wrong here? 333-9422. Connecticut State Colleges and Universities Chancellor Terrence Cheng has agreed, I love this, agreed to step aside. Here's a guy that was, abusing his spending authority with state money, but isn't it good that he's agreeing to step aside? Following months of controversy regarding his overspending on meals, alcohol, and chauffeur services. Well, but thank God he's agreed to step aside. I would have fired the guy. Well, Governor Pacelli, if you fire him, then the unions, bring it on. Let's go. But they had negotiations. Oh, they had months of talks on this. Like, how about those of us who work for private employers there? Would we, how many times during our lives, right, kids? Isn't this great? Have we agreed to step aside? Oh, my God. You can script this lunacy. The decision was made by the Connecticut Board of Regents for Higher Education not to renew Mr. Cheng's contract after it expires next year. Instead, oh, no, he's not out of a job now. Why would he be? Why would he be? Because the Hive protects its own. Instead, starting July 1, he will transition into a new role as a strategic advisor to the board as part of a mutual agreement, according to a press release. So if I abused any spending authority I had here at Connoisseur, do you think I would come to a mutual agreement with the company here? Or might the company, as they would have every right to, give me, as my dearly departed Italian father used to say, a boot in the ass out the door? This is amazing. In a statement included in the news release, Cheng said, quote, "I am incredibly proud of the work we've done to eliminate barriers to higher education, to increase the educational access, equity, and opportunity for students, particularly first generation and minoritized. What the hell is that? Is that a word? Minoritized students? Is that a typo? Or can we not use the word minority anymore? Listen to this. And folks, the only reason I say this is to illustrate the fact that those in government, whether it's your city or town or your state or the feds, they live in a different world. They don't live in the world of you and I, where you come to hard decisions and there's no, as an old boss of mine used to say, this is not a discussion. Discussions between, thank God we have discussions. Oh, if we didn't have discussions, what would happen in the world? Discussions between Cheng and the Board of Regents have been ongoing for a while, prior to Monday's announcement, according to Governor Ned Lamont. The governor is responsible for appointing 9 of the board's 15 members, including its chair. Quote, "Look, he's been a good friend. He's accomplished a lot there at Connecticut State," the governor said. "Applications are up, graduations are up, but we just thought it was time to make a change." Yes, Governor. It's got nothing to do with how good his job it were. He did stuff that regular folk would be fired for. CT Insider reported that the chancellor had charged. Now, folks, this isn't, understand something here. If you forget the story, this is not a couple of $100. This is not, those of us who used to be on expense accounts like I was when I was doing more play-by-play. Hey, as long as it's under $30 a day, we don't need it itemized, whatever. And I used to abide by those. But listen to this. Last year, CT Insider reported that Chancellor Cheng had charged tens of thousands of dollars to his state credit card on travel and meals, including chauffeured rides to and from his home in New York, despite his contract providing stipends for a car and an apartment in Hartford. And this guy gets to run out his contract. Seriously. This is as my Republican friends in Hartford have said, this is a slap in the face to people like you and me who pay state tax. It is. How can it not be? What would you have done, Paul? I would have fired him. Well, he's really good at what he does. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are good at what they do. We can find somebody else. Hey, so-and-so, bring me the pile of resumes. Get me the 5 best people. I'll bring them in here. But again, this is all done because, when you're governor, you don't want to upset the universities. It's all who we don't want to upset. CT Insider reported last year that Chang had charged tens of thousands of dollars to his state credit card on travel and meals, including chauffeured rides. Must be nice, huh? Chauffeured rides to and from a home in New York, despite, folks, and we mentioned this a few times, his contract gave him a stipend for a car and an apartment in Hartford. But hey, it ain't my money. Take me to work, Jeeves. A report from Comptroller Sean Scanlon's office later confirmed many of the expenses exceeded certain limits, were missing receipts, or violated other rules like a prohibition on purchasing alcohol with public money. So, yes, Mr. Chang apparently liked a few drinks on my dime and yours. While Lamont initially defended Chang, now remember this? Oh, the governor says there's nothing here. Remember this? And then he found out, then somebody probably got to him and said, well, Governor, this is a little worse than it. He told reporters outside the Capitol on Monday that the controversy had contributed to the board's decision to part with him as chancellor. So, hey, folks, there you go. So, again, this is a guy now. Well, you're being awfully vindictive, Paul. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to show you how much of a different world you and I live in if we're not on the inner circle of our city or town, our state, or of our members in Congress. And then they don't know, why are you so angry? Yeah, okay. Nice. Wonder what time my chauffeur is going to be here. Traffic and weather together right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound late running construction between exits 31 and 30. Right lane is out until they're gone. 95 north, over 40 minutes from Stanford going through Fairfield. Lower Merritt is even easier right now. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
You're listening to WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut, broadcasting from Cadillac of Greenwich Studios, CadillacofGreenwich.com.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
Town Fair Tire, the area's largest independent name brand tire dealer, sells any Continental tire you choose at the guaranteed lowest price. And Town Fair gives you the most free services for life on your Continental tires. So if you're searching for the best price and the most free services for life on Continental tires, get a Town Fair Tire, because nobody beats a a Town Fair tire deal. And I mean nobody.
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
Orangutans. They're beautiful, playful, and majestic, and disappearing. Every day, as many as 20 orangutans vanish. They starve to death when their homes are destroyed or are killed when they stray into villages in search of food. International Animal Rescue is fighting for the survival of the critically endangered orangutan. But we can't do it without you. Please visit internationalanimalrescue.org and help us save orangutans before it's too late. That's internationalanimalrescue.org.
All right, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. I got some pretty good text messages here. I'll tell you, you folks are good. Ever since we instituted this text message thing, I think now, of course, you can still call. But you know what it's done here? It's honed the skills of some of you folks here being able to really write with brevity and write really good comedy in just a few words. It's that old phrase, less is more. Yes, oftentimes fewer words have more punch.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Brief. The Trump administration's focusing on the economy on its 100th day, tariffs in particular. Olivia Rinaldi reports the auto industry's getting a break.
This comes after a bit of a lobbying effort from the big three, that's Ford, Stellantis, and General Motors, who have been asking this White House to give them some relief.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says tariff talks are continuing, but he wouldn't say with whom. Economist Gus Fauché on consumer confidence plummeting.
The longer the tariffs remain in place, the more uncertainty there is, the higher the tariffs are, the greater the drag on the economy and the greater potential for recession down the road.
Analyst Bert Flickinger says emptying store shelves are making businesses nervous.
For the November-December holidays, the retailers really need to get their orders in by the end of April this week, and ideally no later than mid-May.
CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
At a news conference earlier today on the topic of President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office, Governor Ned Lamont was asked his opinion of the head of the Connecticut State College and University system stepping down after reports of his excessive spending. Terrence Chang had reached a settlement agreement with the governing board that he will step down in June after shifting into an advisory role, but will continue to earn a $442,000 a year salary until he leaves the job. Governor Ned Lamont said this.
I mean, we stepped up. I think we've done the right thing. When it comes to Terrence Chang, he had a contract. We're going to finish off that contract, but we have new leadership for the CSU system, and I think that's the right thing to do.
The man known as the Connecticut Cannibal Killer will soon be released from prison on what is called conditional release. But the victim's family is deeply angered and troubled by this, especially as new information about the killer is now coming to light. Tyree Smith killed Angel Tuntun Gonzalez in Bridgeport in 2013 and then ate part of the victim's brain and eyeball in a nearby cemetery, washing it down with sake. In March, Smith was granted conditional release after the state's Psychiatric Security Review Board voted unanimously to grant Smith psychiatric release, stating that expert testimony reflected that Smith was safe to be released. Conditional release means that all of his treatment and care will be done in the community and not at Connecticut Valley Hospital in Middletown. However, WTNH-TV News 8's Jeff Dedarian found some new information that contradicts what the review board wrote in its decision.
The incident report detailing Smith's time at the Garner Correctional Facility back in April 2013. It says that Smith admitted to an officer that inmate, whose name has been redacted, was talking trash to him. So Smith hit him in the face and then shoved him to the ground. The report goes on to say the inmate who was attacked did not fight back After that prison brawl, authorities determined Smith was too dangerous to return to the general inmate population. And yet, the state psychiatric review board now says the so-called Connecticut cannibal has been rehabilitated and that it's safe for him to return to society.
A handful of Republican state senators have written to Vanessa Cardella, the psychiatric board's executive director, posing several questions and criticizing the decision to release Smith. A 45-year-old Norwalk man is charged with murder in the death of his former mother-in-law. Police said Ilya Shtopaku attacked 70-year-old Lyda Shape with a baseball bat yesterday at an apartment complex in Trumbull. It is believed the attack was prompted by an argument. Bond for Shtopaku was set at $3 million. 3 people are injured after a car crashed into 5 other vehicles at a car wash in Norwalk. The crash happened yesterday morning at Russell Speeder's Car Wash on Main Avenue. The driver of the car that struck the 5 vehicles was taken to the hospital, along with 2 people who were hurt at the scene. The cause of the crash is under investigation. Police in Ansonia say they have identified some of the suspects involved in a street takeover this past weekend. Around 100 people were in the street at Wakely Avenue and Franklin Street when the first police officer arrived and a person jumped on the cruiser's hood. The officer backed up to escape the crowd and crashed into a parked car, and the crowd scattered when the other officers arrived. Police are not naming any of the identified suspects at this time, saying the investigation is ongoing. The 45-year-old man who struck and killed a state trooper on I-84 in Southington in May of 2024 has been sentenced to 18 years in prison. Alex Oyola Sanchez pleaded guilty in February to first-degree manslaughter for the hit-and-run death of Trooper Aaron Pelletier. The trooper was conducting a traffic stop at the time. Oyola Sanchez previously served 9 years in prison for the murders of 3 people in Puerto Rico. Cell phone service will be getting an upgrade on Metro North New Haven Line trains. Governor Ned Lamont says 30 high-powered macro cell phone towers and smaller compact cell nodes are now installed on the rail line. Lamont says the availability of high-speed networks is critical in order for Metro North to be attractive to workers and employers. The improved service is through a partnership between the state and AT&T, with the company investing $6 million in the project. State Democrats held a news conference yesterday in response to the Trump administration's decision to end a Biden-era student loan program that would forgive student debt. The Department of Education has instead been instructed to send accounts in default to collectors. State Republicans defended the move by the president, with North Branford Republican Representative Vin Candelora advocating for personal responsibility to WFSB Channel 3.
There has to be some level of responsibility on the individuals when they're taking on debt. This notion that government should be responsible for everything.
However, state Democrats are pushing back and encouraging Connecticut students who are struggling with student loans to instead take advantage of the state's loan debt program, which forgives up to $5,000 a year. At a news conference attended by Channel 3, Democratic Representative Eleni Kavros DeGraw pushed back against the assertion that debt is not the government's responsibility.
Frequently, we hear from folks, well, I paid for mine, they should pay for theirs. And I just want to remind everyone, when we're talking about this debt relief that is now being canceled, we have bailed out the airline industries more than once. We have bailed out automakers more than once.
And there is an elevated risk for brush fires today in most of Connecticut. It is due to low humidity and winds gusting at 25 to 35 miles per hour. The public is advised to use extreme caution handling any potential ignition sources outdoors, including machinery. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound lane running construction between exits 31 and 30. Right lane is out until they're gone. 95 north, over 40 minutes from Stamford going through Fairfield. Lower Merritt is even easier right now. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight. A low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
If Bridgeport is talking about it, So is Paul. Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you, not laughing at the station here, not laughing at Chris. I'm laughing at, and maybe I shouldn't do this, but what the heck, it's my show, and I think I can. Laughing at how dumb some criminals can be. And I understand it was scary, I guess, over the weekend. That street takeover in Ansonia. And by the way, if you were in the area and you heard that, give me a call. I'd love to chat with you about that. 203-333-9422. 333-WICC. I love the stupidity of some criminals. It's one thing to be a criminal. It's another thing to be just really rock stupid. Police say they have identified some individuals involved in that street takeover over the weekend. Did you see this? Did you see the video? Did you hear it? That drew nearly 100 people to an Ansonia neighborhood on Saturday morning. Now, contrary to the rumors out there, this group of people, from what I understand, they were not discussing world economics. They were not discussing the future of artificial intelligence. They weren't discussing possible treaty alternatives to what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, sadly. They were doing this. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. And then, by the way, I don't know whether you heard, but, you know what? There was kind of a counter argument to all of that, right? There was a little bit of a counter argument. There was a little bit of a counter argument to that, and from what I understand, the counter argument to what we just heard sounded somewhat like this. You know, yeah. It's America's future leaders out there. Anyway, cops have ID'd some of those people because they're so stupid they commit crime on video. Now, if you're going to be a street thug, don't smile for the camera. Authorities continue gathering information about the incident that left residents shaken and a police cruiser damaged. I can see it now, though. Oh, he was a good boy. He got, here's what we're going to hear. Oh, you know what we're going to hear here, right? He just got caught up in the moment. Yes. Video provided by Ansonia Police showing dozens of people gathering at the intersection of Wakely and Franklin Streets around 12:30 a.m. Saturday after multiple 911 calls reported the takeover. This version from Fox 61. Can I ask a question here? Really? Seriously? Seriously? With all due respect to Ansonia, we love Ansonia. Go Chargers, right? We love Ansonia. But please explain to me. I'm dead serious. And apparently some of these scholars were from out of state, out of the area. So if you're going to do one of these, I know it's shocking. I'm not involved in street takeovers. I just thought you'd know that. Want you to know that. What makes you pick Ansonia? Are the views good at that time? Like, is there something magical for example, in that neighborhood at 12:30 a.m., Wakely Avenue, Wakely and Franklin Streets in Ansonia. If you're familiar with that, Wakely and Franklin in Ansonia, what makes a group of people, sounds like mostly guys, there may have been girls there, but what is it about Wakely and Franklin Streets in Ansonia at 12:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning? Is it romantic? Is it the way the moonlight is filtered down between the clouds? Can somebody explain to me, why does a group of people say, hey, let's get all together in Ansonia on a Saturday morning at 12:30 on a nice, wonderful weekend in April? Can somebody explain that to me?
Let the Original Vazis cater your next affair. From full-service off-site catering of any size or on-site in one of their private event rooms. Their menu showcases a selection of timeless and beloved dishes deeply rooted in Italian culinary traditions. From corporate events, weddings, and on-site food trucks, the Original Vazis can accommodate your needs and ensure a memorable culinary experience for you and your guests. Book your next event with the Original Vazis, Broadbridge Road, Bridgeport. TheOriginalVazis.com.
They're changing the tax rules again. What does that mean for you?
So to be tax-free, you have to pay the tax on the money today and find the right places to store it and accumulate it tax-free forever. And then you don't care where tax rates go up in the future because you have a plan that will protect you.
To find out, join David Gagnon of First Financial Planners for Mastering Your Wealth. Saturday mornings at 8, right here on WICC 600.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Wilbur Cross, Route 15 northbound crash reported right at the Route 34 merge in Orange. 95 northbound, 45 minutes from Greenwich through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way. Parkway northbound, an accident reported near exit 41. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid-60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Keeping you up to date on everything that matters. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
$12:30 Saturday morning, Wakely and Franklin Streets in beautiful downtown. Is that downtown Ansonia? I don't know. I haven't been in Ansonia in a while. No, it's not. Chris says no. Okay. Thank you. It's great to have a producer, a call screener news guy who knows the valley like the back of his hands. Yes. So there you heard it. That was obviously a high-level discussion going on of world economic trends, possible peace alternatives for Russia and Ukraine, and also a further discussion as to the legal and judicial appeals to many of the illegal migrants in the country. You know what I'm driving at here. But in all seriousness here, Seriously. You heard the video of that. That was from what looked to be a TikTok video or a phone video that was posted by Mayor David Cassetti and City Hall in Ansonia. There is also a video with no sound from the Ansonia Police Department of an officer backing up and getting stuff thrown in his windshield, cracking the windshield. Now, here is my thought on this. What would we be talking about today, okay? If, let's say, the officer in that patrol car that we have the inside dash cam video from, what if, and you've got to see this, folks, there are people climbing on this police car. What if the officer thought his or her life was in danger there, right? What if that officer saw somebody approach his car or her car and their heart must have been racing at that point, and they saw someone reach down and maybe they were reaching for their camera on their phone. Maybe they were reaching for a vape pen. Maybe they were reaching for a marijuana vape pen, nicotine vapes, whatever. And the police officer who was in that vehicle or anybody around there who may have been from law enforcement saw a shiny object come out of one of those Road Scholars pants or their underwear or something like that. And the officer reacted in a, shall we say, lethal way. What would we be talking about today? And the reason I mention that is, if any of these perps or suspects or persons of interest are juveniles, we're going to find out very little, if anything, about them. Now, I have always been one to say that I think we need the age lowered to release information about juveniles. Now, I don't know they're juveniles. I'm sure there are people there in their 20s. I get it. But to this day, I'm still fascinated by, the inability in most cases to release somebody's name if, say, they're 17. I think we need changes in that. Well, and you hear from the experts, the male brain is not fully, fully developed till they're 25. Okay, that's good, Professor. I don't care. I think, and you may disagree with me on this, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC, but this notion, and we see this a lot in Connecticut, it's a juvenile. We can't give out information. Why not? Explain to me. Now, if the kid is 10 or 12 or 14 or 15, whatever, what about lowering that to 16? Because I don't understand that. If you can employ in fact, you can employ a 15-year-old in Connecticut, right, for certain things like bagging in a grocery store. Is that still a law? Where there are some jobs that 15-year-olds can do. So if somebody is legally old enough to be employed, obviously everybody thinks 16, but I think in some cases at least it was up to a couple of years ago. I haven't been 15 in a while. But, having said that, what is the point on protecting the identities of some of these kids? Well, you want their name to be out there? Yes, I do. Well, then people in the neighborhood will find out. Maybe that's a good thing. What do you think? I know at 18 you become an adult and you can release the name and you're considered an adult. Okay, fine, I get that. But all of a sudden that's different at 17 or 16 or 15. Why? Well, Paul, you want names of underage kids at that street takeover? Yes, I do. Maybe you'll jar them enough to where they change their lives. I don't know. Because to me, if you take part in something like that, you've got to, there's a bit of mental illness in all those people. I'm sorry to have to say it. Look, I was 14, 15, 16, 17 at one time. Not once did me or any of my friends consider screaming at police and jumping on cars. I know, it's crazy. I get it. Privileged white guy me. But, folks, I'm telling you, you watch. Once the cops make these arrests, we're going to, you either won't find out. And you know what? If you have some degenerates like this living in your neighborhood, you deserve to know. I understand it's a fine line we have to walk between civil liberties, rights of the accused, and public safety. But nothing will happen from that. I mean, come on, please. And I know there are legislators out there. Even Mayor Cassetti said on the video, and I'm sure he talked about this with Melissa the other day, the cops, there need to be stronger penalties here. It's not, come on, with all due respect. That's not going to happen. Remember, we want to strip police of their powers. We don't want to actually give them the powers and the authority to do their job because, of course, everyone that did this probably on Saturday night was oppressed in some way. Don't you know that? Mind-boggling. And they take video of it. They take video of it. Is somebody, and look, I'm sorry if you don't like my tone of voice here, but obviously, look, did I do dumb things when I was young? Of course I did. I never did anything like this. Because I never thought to do anything where the police might get involved. That was kind of that was my line in the sand. I said, yeah, Mom and Dad probably aren't going to like this. Nah, maybe the New Haven police shouldn't be called on this one. But, you wonder, you see the video of these street takeovers, not even just locally, but just go on YouTube, entertain yourself online while you're waiting for your frozen TV dinner there to get all hot and steamy in the microwave. Just pull up street takeovers and you sit there, you say to yourself, what? Yes, I know. Years ago, there used to be drag racing. I get it. There still is drag racing. Okay, what we saw the other night was not racing. It was a bunch of people out of control, and I don't know, they're hooting and hollering about what? Do they have, is a dishonest question I have here. What is pent up in them that they've got to scream and yell at cops and jump on cars and throw something at a police car window that smashes it? And then, unfortunately, if a cop figures that his or her life is in danger and they did something to protect themselves, we'd get the newscast for the next week. Oh, well, he was such a good boy. The room lightened up when he walked in the room. I mean, right? Would we be subjected to that for 4 or 5 days? It's mind-boggling. It just, I don't know, man. That kind of stuff, I see or hear that. I mean, it's one thing if somebody's knocking over a convenience store or a bank or something like that, but the street takeovers, why? Is it pent-up frustration? Is there nothing going on in their lives? They just bored? I don't know. I don't get it. Traffic and weather together right here, right now on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Wilbur Cross, Route 15 northbound crash reported right at the Route 34 merge in Orange. 95 northbound, 45 minutes from Greenwich through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way. Parkway northbound, an accident reported near exit 41. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight, a low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid-60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Touchdowns, goals, spikes. What was this week's play of the week in local high school sports? Check out the high school sports play of the week at theRudenReport.com. See and subscribe. Powered by the new Genesis of Ridgefield, located in Norwalk.
Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli.
Now, of course, in the wake of what happened in Ansonia over the weekend, there's a renewed push. Lawmakers are saying there's a bill being considered in Hartford to really amp up on the street takeovers. Folks, it ain't going to happen. I mean, maybe it will, but I hope I don't have to be back here in a month or two when the session ramps up and, winds down, and I'm saying, well, I told you so. There's a new bill circulating around the state capitol. It would double down on people involved in street takeovers, not just the drivers or the participants, but the masterminds behind it as well. See, they know who organizes this. They've been using actually computer programs, algorithms, scanning Facebook and TikTok and X and Instagram. So they're pretty, they've done a decent job at sniffing these out. The new law to double down has made it out of committee, but it must still clear the House and be signed into law by the governor. Lawmakers are hoping this will be the year it passes. I predict to you, and I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll say, hey, I was wrong. I predict to you it will not pass. And the sticking point I hear on this is who's a participant and who is just a bystander. Because a lot of times people will just come out, they'll be near it, but they won't be participating. So if this doesn't happen, and these nut jobs are out there with even more fervor because they know the law didn't pass, it'll be because, hey, who's participating and who's just watching?
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump is marking 100 days of his second administration with a visit to Michigan and a softening of some tariffs on U.S. automakers. Ed O'Keefe reports.
The big three automakers and anyone that produces automobiles in this country, could be BMW, Volkswagen, what have you, will benefit from this and are cheering the decision designed to give a little more relief and perhaps assuage the concerns of people about how tariffs could potentially upend the economy.
There are a lot of lingering economic concerns. Kelly O'Grady of Money Watch.
The Dow and the S&P 500 had lost over 7% since the president took office. The NASDAQ lost over 11%. And if you've been looking at your 401k, you're also seeing a dip there.
Consumer confidence slumped for a fifth straight month. Shipping giant UPS says it's cutting 20,000 jobs, partly due to falling Amazon shipments. The White House blasted Amazon for reports it would add tariff amounts to its prices. Matt Piper has that.
After White House blowback, Amazon says it won't display tariff costs next to online product listings. The company says it did consider it for its haul service, a recently launched low-cost storefront, but says it was never approved and will not happen. Earlier, the White House lashed out at the Jeff Bezos-owned company, calling it a hostile and political act. The tariffs imposed by the president threaten to increase prices for both consumers and businesses.
In Israel, it is a solemn day, as Linda Gradstein reports.
As a siren sounded to mark the beginning of Israel's Memorial Day, the country came to a standstill. All restaurants and places of entertainment are closed, and ceremonies will be held at military cemeteries around the country. The Defense Ministry said that 319 soldiers have been killed since last Memorial Day as the war with Hamas in Gaza continues.
At the UN, Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
In Gaza, there is no end in sight to the killing and misery. The ceasefire had brought a glimmer of hope, but those embers of opportunity were cruelly extinguished with the shattering of the ceasefire on 18 March.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio's warning again the U.S. could step away from trying to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine. Remy Inocencio reports despite Russia's pledge of a temporary truce next month, the violence goes on.
The attacks continue. Overnight, Russia struck Ukraine's southeast and northeast with dozens of drones, guided bombs. There was shrapnel that fell fell over Kyiv. So this announcement for a 3-day ceasefire, at least for critics of the Kremlin and of Putin, a lot of people are really skeptical about it.
On Wall Street, the Dow was up 300. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
When it comes to my lifestyle and diet, I don't always make the smartest choices. Touchdown! Woo! Hey, how about another round and some more chips? But when it comes to taking care of my liver, I do make one very smart choice. Active liver tablets from New Nordic. I used to have real issues with my liver, and at my last checkup, my doc was concerned about my numbers. But since adding a once-a-day active liver tablet, my gut's better, I feel great, and my doctor's happy. I ask a lot of my liver, so the least I can do to say thanks is a daily dose of Active Liver.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. You can find Active Liver at Amazon.com or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. Or for a volume discount, visit NewNordicUSA.com. Go to new, NORDICUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Governor Ned Lamont and other state Democratic leaders held a news conference earlier today on the topic of President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office. Governor Ned Lamont made it clear that he was at odds with the administration's view on trans and Hispanic students.
And every day I hear that our trans kids, our Hispanic kids don't feel safe coming back into our schools. And every day, each of us standing here together, working arm in arm, want you to know we want you here in this state. We want you here in our schools. We want to take care of you. It's time for all of us standing together, locking arms, to say it's time to stand up for our rights. Get up stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
The man known as the Connecticut cannibal killer will soon be released from prison on what is called conditional release. But the victim's family is deeply angered and troubled by this, especially as new information about the killer is now coming to light. Tyree Smith killed Angel Toon Gonzalez in Bridgeport in 2013 and then ate part of the victim's brain and eyeball in a nearby cemetery, washing it down with sake. In March, Smith was granted conditional release after the state's Psychiatric Security Review Board voted unanimously to grant Smith psychiatric release, stating that expert testimony reflected that Smith was safe to be released. Conditional release means that all of his treatment and care will be done in the community and not at Connecticut Valley Hospital in Middletown. However, WTNH TV News 8's Jeff Dedarian found some new information that contradicts what the review board wrote in its decision.
The incident report detailing Smith's time at the Garner Correctional Facility back in April 2013. It says that Smith admitted to an officer that inmate, whose name has been redacted, was talking trash to him. So Smith hit him in the face and then shoved him to the ground. The report goes on to say the inmate who was attacked did not fight back. After that prison brawl, authorities determined Smith was too dangerous to return to the general inmate population. And yet, the state Psychiatric Review Board now says the so-called Connecticut cannibal has been rehabilitated and that it's safe for him to return to society.
A handful of Republican state senators have written to Vanessa Cardella, the Psychiatric Board's executive director, posing several questions and criticizing the decision to release Smith. There is an elevated risk for brush fires today in most of Connecticut. It's due to low humidity and winds gusting at 25 to 35 miles per hour. The public is advised to use extreme caution handling any potential ignition sources outdoors, including machinery. And cell phone service is getting an upgrade on Metro North New Haven line trains. Governor Ned Lamont says 30 high-powered macro cell phone towers and smaller compact cell nodes are now installed on the rail line. Lamont says the availability of high-speed networks is critical in order for Metro North to be attractive to workers and employers. The improved service is through a partnership between the state and AT&T, with the company investing $6 million in the project. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
Parkway northbound accident remains exit 41 as things backed up into Norwalk. 95 northbound over 40 minutes from Stamford going through Fairfield. Maybe some breaks along the way through. 825 connector southbound accident reported approaching the 95 splits. That's in the right lane and out of New Haven. 95 south jamming through Long Wharf going into West Haven. Traffic report powered by Brown Roofing. Brown Roofing is Fairfield County's premier roofing replacement, repair, and gutter contractor. Contact Brown Roofing today at brownroofing600.com. Brown won't let you down. I'm Matt Krause, WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
A lot of folks reacting to Terrence Chang, the Connecticut State College and University Chancellor. He's being allowed to finish out his contract. This is the guy that makes $400 and change a year and was buying $60 steaks on the state's dole, having unnecessary rides from a home in New York, even though he has a stipend to live in Hartford. But he says, no, I don't think so. $440,000 a year. And the governor finally says, hey, we're going to let him finish out his contract. Oh, because we don't want to fire him. Oh, we can't do that. Got a lot of great text messages here. Paul, we just have to call it for what it is. He should have been fired. Yes. Our taxpayer money is paying his salary, and he doesn't even live in the state. Yes. A slap on the hand, and yet if it were us, would be a different story. Yes, yes, yes to that person. 1,000 times yes. But for some reason, they're treating Mr. Chang, and I've never met the guy, nothing personal against him, but we all know that if the reports here, and they seem to be are accurate, primarily good journalism here, a year and change ago by the Connecticut Insider and Hearst, you know, this guy was playing fast and loose with his expense account. And then he apologizes for, number one, who needs $60 steaks? I know where they're going to say, well, if you're schmoozing a donor, okay, I get it. But we didn't get any addendums to that saying, well, Chancellor Chang has said some of these high-dollar dinners were to solicit donations. Okay, if that's the case, fine and dandy. I haven't heard that. Paul, I had a farm, and I wonder what a $60 steak tastes like, because my organic grass feed was very good. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Another person writes in $445,000 a year with an expense account. I'd like to know how many similar state employees make that kind of dough. That's $8,500 a freaking week. Am I wrong or am I crazy? But this is disgusting. No, sir, you're not wrong. You're not crazy. How about that? 203-333-9422. 333-WICC. Hi, Paul. Not only is the chancellor not going to do his job and still get paid for his full salary, but Connecticut now has to pay somebody else to do the job now. All right, well, you know, fool me once, fool me twice. Dave in Meriden here. Dave, how are you?
Good, Paul. Hey, how do I get that type of no-show job? I mean,
$60 steak. Come on, $60
I could do that. and bottles of wine. I mean, this is crazy. Hey, I got an idea. Here we are. We're roped into paying this guy's salary, which I think we should just tell him, hey, the contract, we're breaking the contract.
That's it.
Take us to court.
Your firewood. Exactly.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, okay, if we can't do that and he's making his salary, deduct all of the expenses he added on there out of his salary every week.
Now,
I do.
Yeah, Dave, thank you. I guess he did make some restitution, some. But beyond the fact, though, people want to know, okay, restitution is one thing, but at least you got to set an example here of what to do.
You wake up with WICC to start your day, and you keep us on in your car and while you're at work. But there's another place you'll find us, right in your email. Sign up for the WICC newsletter and be the first to know about all the local Fairfield County happenings. Best of all, it's free. The Voice of Connecticut is right in your inbox. Get signed up now at voiceofct.com.
The Greater Bridgeport Symphony is proud to present Something Big, Maestro Eduardo Leandro's grand inaugural concert as GBS's new music director and principal conductor, performing works by Brahms and Mendelssohn, featuring Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, with guest pianist Andrew Armstrong, Saturday, May 10th at 7:30 p.m. It's Mother's Day Eve. Bring your mom to the Klein Memorial Auditorium in Bridgeport. Tickets $18 to $72, sponsored by the Ernest and Joan Treffs Foundation. Get tickets now at gbs.org. Greater Bridgeport Symphony.
Selling your home is a big decision. You deserve someone who truly listens and picks up the phone when you call. I'm Jonathan Carbeauty with Carbeauty Real Estate, and we make real estate simple. Whether you're ready to sell, just exploring your options, or even want a cash offer on your property, call me directly at 203-980-6886. No pressure, just real results.
Sell your home smoothly when you call Carbeauty. Go to CarbeautyRealEstate.com.
Looking for a reliable dentist in your neighborhood? Columbia Dental's Norwalk office is here for you. Located at 91 East Avenue, our team of general dentists and an oral surgeon are ready to serve you. As part of the Columbia Implant Center network in Manchester, we offer 7-day-a-week services, including an in-house digital dental lab for same-day emergency care. Visit our website at columbiadental.com for more information and to book your appointment today. Your smile is our priority.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text SKINNY to 323232 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text SKINNY to 323232 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 323232. That's SKINNY to 323232. SKINNY to 323232.
The Milford Children's Trout Derby at the Milford Duck Ponds this Saturday from 6 to 9:30 a.m. on both the upper and lower ponds. Enjoy a great day of fishing, open to all children 15 and under, no registration required, and free entry. Prizes for largest brook, brown, golden, and rainbow trouts. The Milford Striped Bass Club and the Devon Rotary invite you to the 57th Annual Children's Trout Derby this Saturday at the Milford Duck Ponds. Join the community. Search Children's Trout Derby Milford CT on Facebook.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Parkway northbound accident remains. Exit 41 as things backed up into Norwalk. 95 northbound over 40 minutes from Stamford going through Fairfield. Maybe some breaks along the way through. 825 connector southbound accident reported approaching the 95 splits. That's in the right lane and out of New Haven. 95 south jamming through Long Wharf going into West Haven. Traffic report powered by Brown Roofing. Brown Roofing is Fairfield County's premier roofing replacement, repair, and gutter contractor. Contact Brown Roofing today at brownroofing600.com. Brown won't let you down. I'm Matt Krause, WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight. A low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Get the straight story on everything that's going on around our state. Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli is back on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Among the myriad of things that are machine gunning out of the White House here almost faster than you can pay attention from President Trump was something he said about Columbus Day earlier this week. They got a lot of people going, oh, we're into this again. And again, it's an issue that I've been following here, that many Italian Americans in Fairfield County, the Bridgeport area, New Haven County, all throughout Connecticut have been talking about. And we welcome back our friend Andre Domino, who's head of the Italian American One Voice Coalition, major group speaking out about Italian American issues in the U.S. Andre, it's Paul here again. Good to have you back, sir. How are you?
Great to be with you, Paul, especially with this great announcement.
Yeah, so what did Mr. Trump actually say? Because I'm seeing Andre fractured reporting on this. So explain this.
Well, he put out a post on his Truth Social where he was very clear. He said Columbus Day is back, although it really didn't leave because it's always been a federal holiday. Mm-hmm. But we do have 11 states and dozens of cities and school districts that eliminated it. But he said unequivocally that Columbus Day is back, that he supports it. He supports it because it's for Italian Americans and Americans, and he said that he's going to make sure that it doesn't go away. So we're very, very pleased. In fact, it was an outstanding thing for us to see on Sunday.
So would you say, Andre, objectively, that there will be more support from the White House for Italian Americans and Columbus Day coming out from this administration as in the previous administration under Mr. Biden, or not?
Well, I believe that, as President Trump has been from the beginning. He made a statement back in 2020 where he supported Columbus Day, and now he's coming through with his second term with a very definitive statement about it. And I think that we're going to see a change here. Our organization, Italian American One Voice, we've been battling this in school districts and cities across the country. Mm-hmm. And it's just fortunate. Of course, it's a federal holiday, as I said.
Sure.
But do you know, Paul, that there were both Senate and House resolutions that were put up to eliminate the federal holiday, which, of course, we were opposing that. And that's why we just continued to fight to preserve Columbus Day. And now with the statement from President Trump, if any one of those bills comes through, we think he's going to veto it.
And Andre, it's interesting, knowing you were coming on today, I was kind of boning up on this again. We've talked for years in the past, that it's interesting where you see people saying, well, it doesn't mean, Andre, that we don't want to honor Italians. There's just other people to do it. Well, okay. And then I can never really find, now you tell me if I'm wrong on this, I'm saying, well, okay, how are you actually honoring Italian Americans and the contributions of such if you get rid of Columbus Day? And some of these municipalities, they talk a good game, Andre, but I don't really see it. Maybe you do. I don't.
No, I don't. And of course, unfortunately, Italian Americans are still subjected to the stereotyping, which is still out there. And, this is the one day that we have. And why should people tell us who we should honor? Columbus, the reason Columbus Day is there specifically, was because of the single largest day lynching that occurred in 1891.
And it's interesting, Andre, I tell people that and they look at me like I landed from Mars. But please explain this. Go ahead.
Sure, absolutely. In New Orleans in 1891, in March of 1891, there was a mob that went after 11 innocent Italians because of the death of a captain there, and they tried to blame it on the Italians. And they were innocent. They lynched them. Many were beat up. And then there were other lynchings in other places around the country. It was so bad back then, Paul, that the country of Italy almost declared war against the United States. And that's why President Harrison, to calm things down, declared the 400th anniversary of Columbus's arrival in the New World, October 12th of 1892, as the first Columbus Day, whereby the country should celebrate it and act as an atonement and an apology. And that was really the welcoming of immigrants back, Italian immigrants, into this country. So it's important for our ancestors and generations that have passed.
Andre Domino, by the way, the head of the Italian American One Voice Coalition. Check him out online, IAOVC.org. So you talked about legal proceedings, Andre, and I know in the last three times we've talked, you mentioned this. Are there any current suits pending or coming lawsuits or legal actions that have wound up in some sort of decision since we last talked, maybe over the past year or so?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, Paul, the suit that we instituted, the federal suit because of the removal of the Columbus statue in West Orange, New Jersey, believe it or not, is still pending here 3 years later. They tried to get us out of there by saying we don't have standing.
Yeah.
Well, we won that battle. We got standing. They tried to get it, dismissed. They couldn't get it dismissed. So, even if we've got to go to the Supreme Court, we've got to fight this because Italian Americans are a recognized group under the 14th Amendment, and you shouldn't replace one group's holiday for another. And that's really why we're fighting about that statute. And there's been other suits around the country with varying levels of success, and that's why it's important that we got this definitive statement from the president about this, because Columbus Day should be respected. Listen, not only for Italian Americans, Paul, but really for all Americans.
Mm-hmm.
He changed the world. He united the continents. Leif Erikson may have come here 1,000 years ago, whatever they say, but nevertheless, it was after Columbus where the world was really united.
And Andre, I discuss this with people all the time. People say, well, he did this and that. All right, so let's assume, for argument's sake here, just logically as human beings, well, if Columbus didn't come here or didn't come, let's say you revise history, as some people want to do, back then in 1492, well, it's like, honestly, Andre, like nobody would have come here. Like nothing, like we would have been hundreds of years later, and another explorer, maybe from Spain or Italy, would have never come here. It's ridiculous. It flies in the face of logic.
You're 100% correct, Paul. Listen, Columbus was the great navigator. He did that great voyage across the world where no one else did it before. And he was doing, he tried to spread Christianity and so forth with his voyage. And although he thought he was going to the Indies, to India, he ended up in this part of the world. But nevertheless, you're right. If he didn't do it, someone else is going to do it. What do they think, that the world's going to stay separated until today? Of course, that's right.
All right, folks, go to the website, keep tabs on the Italian American One Voice Coalition, IAOVC.org. Andre Domino. Andre, always good to chat with you. We'll chat again around Columbus Day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, there you go. Andre Domino. Check it out, the Italian American One Voice Coalition. 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Listen, I understand that you may disagree here, but please, I have to laugh. Whoa, it's not. There are other ways to honor Italian Americans. All right, like what? Like, all right, you get, well, and technically he's right. Columbus Day is a federal holiday, hasn't really gone anywhere, but some of these municipalities, some in Connecticut, okay, it's Indigenous Peoples Day. Well, okay. What about honoring the Italians in Connecticut? What about doing? Well, we'll get back to you on that. I'll tell you, you try this with any other ethnic group. Are you kidding? People would be running for the hills. And I'm not saying you can't debate the role of Columbus. Nobody is saying that. But please, stop making promises that you can't keep. And please, these student protesters against Columbus in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, stop it. They have no idea what they're talking about. Kids are nice, but when they're in the 4th, 5th, 6th grade, stop it. Stop it. They're just regurgitating what they hear from mom and dad or their teachers. Eric is in Stamford. Eric, good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon. Just wanted to ask a couple questions about this Columbus Day reinstatement fanfare. At the end of the day, this was kind of a holiday made to appease Italians and Italian Americans, and I think kind of the emphasis put back on it. Doesn't it feel like it's kind of a little bit of a move that, if done by anybody else, would be called woke and kind of anti everything that the president stands for?
No,
because why exactly is this any different?
Well, and again, Eric, thank you. No, I don't think it's woke. Well, what I think, number one, every politician does stuff for political reasons, Eric. So you're right there. But here's what people don't understand about Columbus Day. And yes, am I Italian? Yeah, and that's how I'm speaking as an Italian. There is no other holiday, federal holiday, on the calendar, or even not, locally, whatever, that is tied to an ethnic group like Columbus Day. And that's where a lot of the challenges or the anger comes from with people. Now, I'm not saying you have to agree with it or you can't have another point of view here. But when you look at the holidays that we celebrate either on the local, national, state level, whatever. Look, there are a lot of, and I understand why this happens. But Eric, to your point, thank you for the call. I think this is to, look, it's all to score points politically. But the reason this is still out there and the reason there's still lawsuits is there are a lot of Italian Americans saying, hey, wait a minute, this is not about Columbus. This is about my heritage. And that is unfair.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Parkway northbound accident remains exit 41 as things backed up into Norwalk. 95 northbound over 40 minutes from Stamford going through Fairfield. Maybe some breaks along the way through. 825 connector southbound accident reported approaching the 95 splits. That's in the right lane and out of New Haven. 95 south jamming through Long Wharf going into West Haven. Traffic report powered by Brown Roofing. Brown Roofing is Fairfield County's premier roofing replacement, repair, and gutter contractor. Contact Brown Roofing today at brownroofing600.com. Brown won't let you down. I'm Matt Krause, WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid-60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut, broadcasting from Cadillac of Greenwich Studios, CadillacofGreenwich.com.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
Get to Citi Field when the Mets host the Chicago Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cubs are in for a weekend series Friday, May 9th through Sunday, May 11th. First 15,000 fans at Friday's game get a Clay Holmes hockey jersey from Hyundai. Saturday, the first 15,000 fans will receive an Edwin Diaz bobblehead from Moo Moo. And on Sunday, the first 15,000 fans get a clutch purse from Lisa Sleep. The homestand continues with 3 against the Pirates, Monday, May 12th through Wednesday, May 14th. Get your tickets now at Mets.com/tickets.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
May I help you? I just wanted to request a late checkout, please. Of course. That's $30 per hour for up to 4 hours. Huh. Okay, but if you can offer a late checkout, then that probably means no one is staying in that room. So if it's empty, maybe I can just stay a few extra hours. Oh, aren't you adorable?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Brief. President Trump will mark 100 days of his second administration with a trip to Michigan and a softening of tariffs on U.S. automakers. CBS's Natalie Brand.
These are moves aimed to ease the impact of these tariffs on the auto industry. And the big 3 automakers have all put out statements really welcoming this news, saying that they are grateful.
The president's tariffs continue to worry consumers. The latest consumer confidence report is the worst since the pandemic. Analyst Gus Fauché.
These are not good numbers. I think the consumers are very uneasy about the impact of tariffs, particularly on their own bottom line.
The administration has fired some top climate change researchers, as Michael Wallace reports.
The National Climate Assessment is required by Congress every few years. It looks at how global warming will impact our economy and health and helps local governments plan for floods, droughts, and other weather-related problems.
CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Governor Ned Lamont and other state Democratic leaders held a news conference earlier today on the topic of President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office. Attorney General William Tong was particularly passionate about his view that Trump is acting like more of a dictator than a president.
Because if we don't have checks and balances, and the president can do whatever the hell he wants, okay, not only is he a dictator, not only is it authoritarianism, these words sometimes don't have meaning. What does it mean? It means that if he doesn't have to listen to anybody and can do whatever he wants, then Congress becomes optional. What does he need Congress for? Laws become optional. State legislatures become optional. Governors, attorneys general become optional. Rights become optional. Your rights and mine. And what ends up happening is people get hurt. That's what's happening right now.
The head of the Connecticut State College and University system is stepping down after reports of his excessive spending. Terrence Chang has reached a settlement agreement with the governing board overseeing the public college system that he will step down at the end of June. Chang will shift into an advisory role and will continue to earn his $442,000 a year salary until he leaves the job. He came under criticism by state lawmakers after an audit showed lavish spending that included limo rides, $60 steaks, and large bar tabs. The decision to have the chancellor keep his salary in the new role has drawn harsh criticism from state Republicans. Brookfield Republican Senator Steve Harding told WFSB Channel 3 that the behind-the-scenes nature of Chang's settlement was a slap in the face to Connecticut taxpayers.
I don't understand how you execute a $400,000+ a year contract for a Board of Regents employee, how that doesn't see the light of day or a discussion at a meeting. It's a complete slap in the face to the taxpayers of the state.
The 45-year-old man who struck and killed a state trooper on I-84 in Southington in May of 2024 has been sentenced to 18 years in prison. Alex Oyola Sanchez pleaded guilty in February to first-degree manslaughter for the hit-and-run death of Trooper Aaron Pelletier. The trooper was conducting a traffic stop at the time. Oyola Sanchez previously served 9 years in prison for the murders of 3 people in Puerto Rico. Police in Ansonia say they have identified some of the suspects involved in a street takeover this past weekend. Around 100 people were in the street at Wakely Avenue and Franklin Street when the first police officer arrived and a person jumped on the cruiser's hood. The officer backed up to escape the crowd and crashed into a parked car, and the crowd scattered when other officers arrived. Police are not naming any of the identified suspects at this time, saying the investigation is ongoing. A 45-year-old Norwalk man is charged with murder and the death of his former mother-in-law. Police said Ili Shtopaku attacked 70-year-old Lyda Shape with a baseball bat yesterday at an apartment complex in Trumbull. It is believed the attack was prompted by an argument. Bond for Shtopaku was set at $3 million. 3 people were injured after a car crashed into 5 other vehicles at a car wash in Norwalk. The crash happened yesterday morning at Russell Speeder's Car Wash on Main Avenue. The driver of the car that struck the 5 vehicles was taken to the hospital, along with 2 other people who were hurt at the scene. The cause of the crash is under investigation. UConn is confirming that the visas of 13 students that had been terminated by the Trump administration have been restored. The visa records had been terminated for 12 current students and 1 recent graduate still completing training, threatening to disrupt their academic careers. UConn officials say their records are now restored, meaning they can resume their studies and work uninterrupted. The students are all based on the UConn Storrs campus. State Democrats held a news conference yesterday in response to the Trump administration's decision to end a Biden-era student loan program that would forgive student debt. The Department of Education has instead been instructed to send accounts in default to collectors. State Republicans defended the move by the president, with North Branford Republican Representative Vin Candelora advocating for personal responsibility to WFSB Channel 3.
There has to be some level of responsibility on the individuals when they're taking on debt. This notion that government should be responsible for everything.
However, state Democrats are pushing back and encouraging Connecticut students who are struggling with student loans to instead take advantage of the state's loan debt program, which forgives up to $5,000 a year. At the news conference attended by Channel 3, Canton Democratic Representative Eleni Kavros-DeGraw pushed back against the assertion that debt is not the government's responsibility.
Frequently, we hear from folks, well, I paid for mine, they should pay for theirs. And I just want to remind everyone, when we're talking about this debt relief that is now being canceled, we have bailed out the airline industries more than once. We have bailed out automakers more than once.
And Connecticut's decision to increase bottle returns from a nickel to 10 cents has attracted attention from out of state. State officials say trucks carrying beverage containers are coming into border towns from Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New York to take advantage of the higher deposit returns. Some in the legislature are looking for ways to address the issue, calling it cross-border fraud. A bill under consideration would require anyone redeeming over 1,200 containers a day provide personal information. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 southbound crash reported. Exit 41 northbound, plenty of onlooking delays as well. 8 and 25 connector southbound crash approaching the 95 splits. Stay to the left to get through. 95 north, over an hour. Greenwich through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through, but they're few and far between. 84 eastbound side busy, but moving through Danbury and Newtown. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight. A low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Phone lines are always open to say what you want and need to say. 203-333-9422. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli. WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, whatever's on your mind, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. You know, it's funny. Thanks once again to our buddy, our pal, Andre Domino, the Italian-American One Voice Coalition. Listen, technically, Columbus Day never went away. So Mr. Trump is doing what he does to curry favor. I get it. I understand it. But what you're not seeing are these areas saying, well, we'll figure out other ways to honor Italian Americans instead of Columbus Day. Okay, so you change Columbus Day in some areas to Indigenous Peoples Day, whatever. So we honor Italians how exactly with a day off? Oh, we're not going to do that, though. No, can't do that. You know, I was just talking with somebody about this, and from a what are the words I'm looking for? From a intellectually honest position. You know, 1492, Columbus came here. Okay, if Columbus didn't come here, somebody else would have. The world was a rotten, stinking, horrible place back then. Oh, Columbus brought famine and pestilence and whatever and war. Okay, for argument's sake, let's say he did. Somebody else wouldn't have? There's been wars for thousands of years. There's been conquests for thousands of years. Men and women have been killing each other and doing horrible things for thousands of years. You think if Columbus didn't come here and somebody else would have, they would have got off the boat and started strumming early demo versions of Kumbaya? Someone's watching, Lord, key change, Kumbaya. Listen, I understand bad stuff happened there. And if you don't want to observe Columbus, I get it. What's the alternative? That's why a lot of Italians are angry. A lot of people don't get it, but like I say, and you can hate Columbus. I get it. But the notion is that of any holiday, and this is still a federal holiday, there is no other holiday, even the religious holidays, are not connected with an ethnic group the way Columbus Day is. It's just a fact. I'm not making that up. Judy in West Haven's with us. Hi, Judy. How are you?
Hi, Paul. How you doing?
I'm good, Judy. What's up?
Hey, listen, as a former teacher, I want to school you on something.
Okay.
And that is prepositions, particularly the preposition of.
Yeah.
When you use myriad, and you do use that word a lot, myriad is never to be followed with of. You just say myriad, radio announcer.
I've been told that before, Judy, and gosh darn it, I can't stop.
You can't stop?
No, I can't, because to me, I know what you're saying.
You're an intelligent guy. You want to sound intelligent. You always pull my focus when you do that.
Well,
Have a great day, honey.
Well, thanks, Judy. Appreciate it. I do stuff on the side. It's weird. Other than doing the talk show here, I do some news stuff on the weekends. And what Judy just said about me what I should say, a myriad teachers versus a myriad of teachers. It's the same way when I hear bad news copy somewhere, and I said, no, that shouldn't be written that way. The modifier has to go here. You put the state before the senator, the congressman. So Judy, I understand you. Back with more coming up. Bill, you're up next right here on WICC.
Join the Bridgeport Rescue Mission for a special afternoon by the water, May 21st at the Riverside Yacht Club. The Inspiring Hope Luncheon supports housing for families experiencing homelessness, hunger relief, health care, and recovery. Special guest Liz Murray shares her powerful story of resilience as a reminder of why this mission matters. Her journey from homeless to Harvard, the Liz Murray story, all to benefit those seeking stability, dignity, and a second chance. Go to bridgeportrescuemission.org. Click Events.
Unlock the potential of your business with Constep, Connecticut's premier manufacturing consulting firm. For over 25 years, Constep has focused on growth opportunities and client success in a changing manufacturing world. Their expert team of trusted advisors offers tailored solutions combining technical know-how with workforce strategies for transformative results. To help your manufacturing company reach its full potential, visit constep.org and schedule a free consultation. That's CONNSTEP.org.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
It's time for the Market Scoreboard Report with Ron and Sana. Now on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Stocks advanced steadily throughout the day after a soft open, but jolted higher after Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick suggested that a trade deal was close to being finalized with one unidentified country. Also, the Financial Times talking about more tariff relief for automakers and other industries to come. So the Dow rallied 300 points or 0.75% to 40,527. Looking over some weak economic data that we got this morning in the way of consumer confidence, which plunged once again. The S&P up 32 points or 0.5% to 5560. The Nasdaq up 0.5% as well to 17,461. On that soft economic data and possible improvements on the tariff front, bond yields dropped to 4.17% on the 10-year note. The dollar firmed, oil tumbled $1.75, gold down more than $15 to $33.32 the ounce. As we go into tomorrow's first look at first quarter GDP and technology earnings that are due out as well.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 southbound crash reported. Exit 41 northbound. Plenty of onlooking delays as well. 8 and 25 connector southbound crash approaching the 95 splits. Stay to the left to get through. 95 north. Over an hour, Greenwich through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through, but they're few and far between. 84 eastbound side busy, but moving through Danbury and Newtown. I'm Ash Krause with WICC traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Just a man, a microphone, and a lot of thoughts. Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli. WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, hey, coming up in just a few minutes, I will have the Republican response up at the Capitol today. State Rep Steve Harding, State Senate member, State Senate Republican leader, a buddy of the show, Steve Harding, who I think is going to be on with Melissa tomorrow morning, I believe, to talk about the response here to Terrence Chang being allowed to fill out his employment with the state, $445,000 a year, and the state saying, yeah, well, so what if he abused the credit cards? Hey, we'll just move along. Move along? Really? All right. We'll have those remarks coming up. Gary, hang on. Bill in Easton's been hanging on. Bill, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Aggravated. We get everybody's holidays, and we don't want them. We got Columbus Day. We didn't want that. Thanksgiving had nothing to do with the Pilgrims and us.
Okay.
It was about the Civil War. A woman back in 1867 went to the Congress and Senate and wanted a holiday, being thankful for all the brothers, husbands, and sons that came home from the Civil War alive. Mm-hmm. That's what Thanksgiving was supposed to be about, not us and the Pilgrims.
Okay, and I do know there was and that's hooked in, Bill, isn't it, with that famous picture you see of, isn't there a picture I recall seeing of the Confederate and the Union soldiers sitting down at a table? You know the picture I'm talking about? Have you ever seen that?
No, that one I haven't seen.
Yeah, I think, because now that you mention that to me, I'll have to check that out. You may be right. It might not be connected.
We fought the Columbus Day back in 2016, and we won in Bridgeport. Then Biden gave it to us.
Yeah, here's the thing, and Bill, and I know you have Native American heritage. Here's my point on that. I don't care if people oppose Columbus Day, oppose Thanksgiving. I really don't care, Bill. God bless you if people want to oppose that. That's their right as Americans.
They gave us November for Native American Heritage Month because of Thanksgiving. Every year there's a huge protest up in Plymouth.
Yeah,
Thousands of Native Americans go there every Thanksgiving.
No, I don't doubt it. In fact, I did see the month designated. I was researching the topic today. The thing that drives me, though, nuts, is when we hear, okay, we'll honor Italians differently. And, Bill, they never do. They never do.
The killer is the only ones have right in the state of Connecticut are the Massanutten, Pequot, and the Mohegans.
That's
no
right.
other Native Americans can get their rights in the state because of Blumenthal, Malloy, and the rest of the Democrats that are still in office in Hartford.
Yeah. No,
they're racist against us.
Bill, it's not easy. I understand that. No, I understand that, and I still, and you have the.
Cheapest house is $2 million. The most expensive
say
is $40
again,
million.
Bill, hang on. Bill, say that again. You broke up. What?
I said where our reservation was in Fairfield.
Yeah.
The cheapest house is $2 million. The most expensive is $40 million.
I don't doubt it.
It's not in Greenfield Hill. It's on Sasko Hill Road near the water.
I don't doubt it. And Bill, didn't the Scattercokes in Kent, what tribe, Bill, a few years ago, got their recognition?
Up in Kent.
Yeah, they got their recognition yanked, right?
Yes, Blumenthal made sure that was done.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's certain people didn't want another casino.
That's what it is, too.
It
helps when they're paying the state millions, so we can't get any rights at all that we deserve.
Yeah. No, Bill, I got to run. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah, remember that, folks? The Scattercokes in Kent, and all of a sudden, people are saying, third casino. I'm like, this is never going to happen. And guess what? It was yanked. Now, I think there's a renewed push for that again. And then you have the Golden Hill Pagussets. Remember that? they had, I think the Golden Hill tribe had a claim of most of the town of Orange, I think. One of the tribes did. That's never going anywhere. You imagine that? Gary in West Haven is here. Gary, hi. How are you, sir?
Hi, very good, very good. Just listening to you about the alternatives to Columbus Day,
Yes.
other ways of honoring Italian Americans.
Mhm.
And I thought you'd get a chuckle out of this. I mean, there was a bulletin board in a school within your listening area that purportedly honored famous Italian Americans.
Okay.
And what do you think? Maybe Marconi, maybe Julius Caesar,
Fermi,
maybe
Enrico
Dante Alighieri.
Enrico
Okay.
Fermi, yeah.
No, Lady Gaga and Madonna.
Well, they're Italian, Gary. I mean, come on. Let's go.
But that's how far back we go now in terms
Yeah.
of our sense of history.
Yeah, well,
you
yeah.
know, 2 decades, forget about it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
How about,
Anyways.
thank you, Gary. How about, why don't we have a combined day for Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra? Wouldn't that? Francis Albert and Dino Crosetti. Why don't we do that? All right, before we go to news and traffic and weather together here, we've been talking about this controversy here, Terrence Chang. Again, this is nothing personal against Mr. Chang, but this is typically how this stuff is handled in Connecticut. $445,000. They admit he went way over on some of these credit cards, and it just makes people angry. And he was schmoozing people with $60 steaks, alcohol, chauffeured rides, and instead of firing him, as some people think would have been proper, to at least send a message, he's being allowed to ride off into the sunset, according to Steve Harding, the state Senate Republican leader. Steve made these comments earlier today at the Capitol.
So we've agreed now to pay a chancellor that should have been fired for using a personal card on expensive steaks and lavish travel and stipends to move from New York to Connecticut when he never did. And despite all that, now we're finding out that he's receiving a $442,000 a year job, and they're not even quite sure what the task of those jobs is going to be. Last I checked, when you get paid a salary of $442,000, you should darn well know what your job is going to be for that amount of money. It is breathtaking what waste of the taxpayer money is going into this here, and it's not lost on me that he should have been fired for the wasted taxpayer money used with his P card for lavish travel and restaurant meals and everything else the like. And now we're wasting more taxpayer money, or at least state money, to afford him a $442,000 a year salary, and we're not even sure what his job is going to be. That's going to be found out in the coming weeks. So the Senate Republican Caucus and myself has written a letter to the Board of Regents to get answers on this, and based upon those answers, we're going to have to find out how to move forward from there. But it's also not lost on me. It seems like it's Groundhog's Day in April, because I was standing right here talking about shady deals being made and backroom deals, and all the Democratic Party in our state and the governor seems worried about is talking about what's going on in Washington, D.C. Let's handle the waste and fraud that's going on right underneath our nose right here in Hartford and in the state of Connecticut. Let's resolve our problems here. If you don't call giving someone a $442,000 a year salary when you don't even know what the job is, when the person should have previously been fired months ago for waste, what exactly are we doing? How is that not waste? And so let's resolve the problems here before we even worry about what's going on in D.C. I understand what they're saying, but at the same time, we have problems here. How about have a press conference about resolving the waste right here in Connecticut?
Well, there you go. And that's our buddy Steve Harding on the Republican side. Yeah, he's right. He's right. But one of our callers and one of the texters said it earlier. Look, they're letting this guy hang on to finish out the contract. They don't want a lawsuit. And here's what happens in those situations, right? You say, okay, what's it going to cost us to pay him till the end of the contract? X amount of dollars. And then the governor says, what are we looking at in legal fees for the state if he sues us for breach of contract? Well, governor, it could be this. Pay him out, let him, give him a new job, put him in a corner office. And that's what happens. And again, you don't tick off the unions, you don't tick off upper management who works with them. So Steve's right. This is like Groundhog Day all over again. But again, it just, $60 steaks. Must be nice. Traffic and weather together right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 southbound crash reported. Exit 41 northbound, plenty of onlooking delays as well. 8 and 25 connector southbound crash approaching the 95 splits. Stay to the left to get through. 95 north, over an hour. Greenwich through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through, but they're few and far between. 84 eastbound side busy, but moving through Danbury and Newtown. I'm Ash Krause with WICC traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight. A low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Now you can find out who's under the helmet and behind the jersey with the Rudin Report Athlete Profile. High school sports are made great by the student athletes who play them. Check out the High School Athlete Profile, sponsored by BMW of Darien at therudinreport.com.
If you feel like owning a home is out of reach, Rocket is here to give you back the keys because they believe everyone deserves a shot at the American dream. Own the dream. Visit Rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET. Again, that's Rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli.
And again, let me reiterate again and again, just to make sure you know, this is nothing personal against Terrence Chang or anybody I ever excoriate here on the show. It's not. It's about what's right and wrong. And if I made what Chancellor Chang makes, $445,000, almost $500,000. Number one, I would be exceedingly grateful, and I'm sure he is. But if I got a stipend within that package and I think he gets like $2,000 a month for rent or mortgage payment and the use of a car. And again, we're hearing reports as we did last year, a year and a half ago. Well, no, he still lives in New York. When they give you at least what the media says is a stipend to live in Connecticut, I mean that comes over as a tad arrogant, right? Man, if they said, well, we're going to pay, hey Paul, we're going to pay Connoisseur is going to pay you $500,000, but you have to live across the street from the station. Absolutely. Let me go sign a lease right now. It's the arrogance. You're making $500,000 and you're charging a steak dinner when you shouldn't be, and the booze. Come on, wake up.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump is marking 100 days of his second administration by focusing on the economy, traveling to Michigan, and softening some tariffs on U.S. automakers.
We just wanted to help them during this little transition, short term.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said today tariff talks are still underway with some countries.
Well, we're not going to talk about who's talking to whom, but I think that, over time we will see that the Chinese tariffs are unsustainable for China. I've seen some very large numbers over the past few days that show if these numbers stay on, Chinese could lose 10 million jobs very quickly.
Americans are worried about jobs as well. Among other things, Jason Brooks has the latest on consumer sentiment.
The conference board says its confidence index declined for the fifth consecutive month in April, dropping nearly 8 points from the previous month to a reading of 86, the weakest reading since the COVID outbreak in 2020, with tariffs mentioned as the biggest concern.
Businesses are also worried. Store shelves are emptying and cargo shipments have plummeted. That's raising concerns about holiday shopping months from now. Analyst Bert Flickinger.
For the November-December holidays, the retailers really need to get their orders in by the end of April this week, and ideally no later than mid-May, because last, best, and final for placing orders is some experts are saying it's June or July.
And some experts are saying it might be wise to shop for holiday decorations now. The Trump administration's warning again it could bow out of the diplomacy to end the war in Ukraine. At the State Department, spokeswoman Tammy Bruce.
We are now at a time where concrete proposals
need to be delivered by the two parties on how to end this conflict. How we proceed from here is a decision that belongs now to the president. If there is not progress, we will step back as mediators in this process.
Russia has continued its strikes on Ukraine. With measles cases growing, Alexander Tin reports there's a new warning from health officials.
The CDC has updated its guidance for doctors treating measles cases with a new warning that use of vitamin A does not prevent measles. It is also stepping up its caution against overuse of vitamin A. While the vitamin can support the recovery of children infected by the highly contagious virus, the agency also warns it can lead to toxicity when administered in high amounts.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials finished the day up 300 points. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
The peace lily is so last year. Hey, has anyone worked with fiddlenecks?
Shelby's popular flower shop is in full bloom.
We just got a request for an arrangement that evokes air. Who's up for that challenge? No?
She needs to hire a floral designer to nip foliage faux pas in the bud.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates so you can connect with them fast. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
WICC 695.9. Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
At a news conference earlier today on the topic of President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office, Governor Ned Lamont was asked his opinion of the head of the Connecticut State College and University system stepping down after reports of his excessive spending. Terrence Chang had reached a settlement agreement with the governing board that he will step down in June after shifting into an advisory role, but will continue to earn a $442,000 a year salary until he leaves the job. Governor Ned Lamont said this.
I mean, we stepped up. I think we've done the right thing. When it comes to Terrence Chang, he had a contract. We're going to finish off that contract, but we have new leadership for the CSU system, and I think that's the right thing to do.
Police in Ansonia say they have identified some of the suspects involved in a street takeover this past weekend. Around 100 people were in the street at Wakely Avenue and Franklin Street when the first police officer arrived and a person jumped on the cruiser's hood. The officer backed up to escape the crowd and crashed into a parked car, and the crowd scattered when other officers arrived. Police are not naming any of the identified suspects at this time, saying the investigation is ongoing. A 45-year-old Norwalk man is charged with murder in the death of his former mother-in-law. Police said Ili Shtopaku attacked 70-year-old Lyda Shape with a baseball bat yesterday at an apartment complex in Trumbull. It is believed the attack was prompted by an argument. Bond for Shtopaku was set at $3 million. 3 people are injured after a car crashed into 5 other vehicles at a car wash in Norwalk. The crash happened yesterday morning at Russell Speeder's Car Wash on Main Avenue. The driver of the car that struck the 5 vehicles was taken to the hospital, along with 2 people who were hurt at the scene. The cause of the crash is under investigation. UConn is confirming that the visas of 13 students that had been terminated by the Trump administration have been restored. The visa records had been terminated for 12 current students and 1 recent graduate still completing training, threatening to disrupt their academic careers. UConn officials say their records are now restored, meaning they can resume their studies and work uninterrupted. The students are all based on the UConn Stores campus. And carnival goers at Jennings Beach were the victims of a middle school prank this past weekend after a group of kids began spraying a flatulence spray at the carnival exit. Although harmless, the spray caused several people to run and scream, which alarmed others in the area who did not realize what they were fleeing from. This resulted in several groups of people running away in fear without realizing the harmless nature of the prank. Fairfield police were quick to dispel any rumors of danger at the carnival in a post online. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 southbound crash reported. Exit 41 northbound. Plenty of onlooking delays as well. 8 and 25 connector southbound crash approaching the 95 splits. Stay to the left to get through. 95 north. Over an hour, Greenwich through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through, but they're few and far between. 84 eastbound side busy, but moving through Danbury and Newtown. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Pizzelli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Hour number 4 up and underway, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Governor Ned Lamont gathering with other state officials, including the Lieutenant Governor Susan Bicewicz, Attorney General William Tong, lamenting today the first 100 days of the Trump White House. This in the same week that Chris Murphy, U.S. Senator, junior senator from Connecticut, says, hey, you know, the party has made mistakes, to paraphrase. This is why Trump got elected. And he's right. He's 100% right. But again, we hear more of the mistakes coming today from Governor Lamont.
And every day I hear that our trans kids, our Hispanic kids don't feel safe coming back into our schools. And every day, each of us standing here together, working arm in arm, want you to know, we want you here in this state. We want you here in our schools. We want to take care of you. It's time for all of us standing together, locking arms, say it's time to stand up for our rights. Get up stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
Wow, he's turning all reggae singer on us there, right? Get up, stand up. Anyway, but again, we want you here in our state. He is a governor, with all due respect. Of course, native-born kids have a place in our state. But again, you get up there and say, hey, we want you here in the state. Well, okay. Who are you talking to with that thing? Again, people hear that. And, you know, when you're asked, with all due respect, sir, how much do illegals cost, undocumented? There's no dollar figure ever given. Oh, we can't come up with that. Come on. There is the tone deafness on this stuff, sometimes from really smart people, is mind-boggling.
I don't go out of my way picking a fight, but I think they're coming to Connecticut trying to pick a fight. Yeah. And they're lying. They pretend every single immigrant is somehow a criminal. We go out there every day. We round up criminals. We make sure our streets are safe. They're not going after criminals. They're threatening our schools. They're threatening our hospitals. They're threatening our courthouses, going after people who just didn't happen to be born in this country. Now they're a 17-year-old senior at Middletown High School. Those are the people we're going to stand up and fight for and protect every day.
Well, wait a minute, hold it. Now, I've asked this question before, and it's been asked by other journalists in the state. Where is the evidence? And maybe it's out there and we're not hearing about it. But, you know, ICE operates in this state all the time. So, you know, the governor and if he's got evidence of this, he should come out and say X school, X hospital, X date, X, Y, and Z happened. But when he comes out and says, well, they're going after kids in schools, they're going after hospitals, they're going after houses of worship, are there specific incidents or instances of this happening? If there are, I'd like to hear about them and we can discuss them. This happened a few months ago. Where this, you know, remember we went through those, well, if ICE shows up at your school, do this, that, and the other. And our pal, Dan Haar, who we'll probably hear from tomorrow, from Hearst, he wrote a story saying, well, no, that's not really happening. And on the few times across the country that you do hear of ICE showing up at a school or a hospital or a place of worship, it's because under the Biden years, those places were what were called no-go zones. And yet, though, they apparently, reportedly, may have harbored some young gang members. So please, you people up in Hartford, if you have specific instances or occurrences that you can point to and said, you see what ICE did? You see what those jackbooted right-wing thugs did at a hospital or at a church or at a synagogue or at a mosque or at a school? Okay, point them out. If that's going to be your talking point, point them out, and we'll see it's valid, and we'll say, you know what, you were right on this. But to me, now maybe there are instances where we don't know about, but you're right. You're, with all due respect to the governor, you're right on that line of being irresponsible, saying stuff is happening, yet, I don't know, with all the news organizations here in the state, if ICE raided a school or a house of worship or a business for migrant, you'd think we'd hear about it? I think we would. 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Is this all for effect? Or is the governor and his agency heads, are they just hiding stuff?
This spring, the WICC staff is live and local with everything you need to know every single day. Join Melissa in the morning starting at 5 for Southern Connecticut news updates and exclusive interviews. The Lisa Wexler Show starts at 10, where Lisa speaks her mind and wants to hear what's on yours. All the latest news headlines continue at noon on the Download with John and Chris. Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli goes live at 2 for the latest as you head home. And it's all live every weekday on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 600 at 95.9.
Discover the best culinary deliciousness everyone is talking about at the Original Vazzi's. Lobster Thursdays feature twin lobsters, steamed or stuffed, just $35 for the pair, or $29 twin lobster rolls and half-price bottles of wine. Starting in late spring, the Original Vazzi's patio will be open for lunch and dinner daily with live music every Friday and Saturday. Sicilian Saturdays feature $4 porchetta or roast beef sandwiches. The Original Vazzi's, Broadbridge Road, Bridgeport. Discover the best. TheOriginalVazzi's.com.
No part of your home is more important than the roof over your head. Hi, I'm Eddie Griffin, the owner of Brown Roofing, your local expert for roof replacement and roof repair. Water resistant, weather resistant, wind resistant, our products offer superior protection that come with a 50-year lifetime transferable warranty. Call us today at 475-445-1195 or visit us at brownroofing600.com. Brown won't let you down.
Imagine talking to thousands of local consumers about your business. You will with your ads on the Voice of Connecticut.
It all comes up to your sales rep. Here, Maria, my sales rep, try to understand my business, customize my need, and that make it different than any other experience that I had.
Real stories, real results. It's why advertising on the Voice of Connecticut works. Learn more. Email sales@voiceofct.com.
Cityline Florist in Trumbull is now taking orders for Mother's Day. Be sure to order early. Order Mom a gorgeous arrangement of fresh, vibrant flowers she'll be sure to love. Order a gift from the gift shop, a hanging basket, or planter in the greenhouse. When sending florals to your mom, trust Cityline to send anywhere in the country. Cityline Florist, 2978 Nichols Avenue in Trumbull, or citylineflorist.com. A family business with 4 generations serving the community for 107 years.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yeah. Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text SKINNY to 323232 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text SKINNY to 323232 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 323232. That's SKINNY to 323232. SKINNY to 323232.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 northbound crash, exit 41 as things backed up past the mall. Southbound delays start on Long Wharf. In Lower Fairfield County, 95 north, over an hour Greenwich to Bridgeport. The Parkway really is only slightly better. Traffic report is powered by Kitchen Corner. Visit Kitchen Corner in Fairfield, the headquarters for your cooking needs and grilling essentials. Offering expert knife sharpening, 203-374-1118 or kitchen-corner.com. I'm Edge Krause, WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, clouding over with a few widely scattered showers after midnight, a low near 60. Sunny on Wednesday with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
He's got everything you need to know before you get home. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Yeah, that time of the week, kind of like medicine. You may not like to hear stuff that our next guest says, but you need to know. We talk about Megan Portfolio. She of the Hartford Portfolio blog and the Yankee Institute. She sits there. She reads through these voluminous bills. She finds the nasty parts. She watches CTN and all does it because it's her job. Megan, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm good. I'm actually good. Let's start with this. And you've been alluding to this for weeks. Are state employees getting a raise or not? Or is there a little like, hey, it's an election year two-step that's happening in the next year or so? What's going on with that?
Oh, no, this isn't a two-step. This is like a flat-out government in cahoots with state employee unions. Okay. So ask May Council for they're one of the big unions in the state that cover the like the state and municipal employees. They had a big conference this weekend out in Groton, and they had a great time, lots of drinking, lots of dancing, and then they had a special guest, Governor Lamont.
Okay.
And this is what Governor Lamont said, and this is actually a very important quote because you don't hear this very often. But he spoke, and probably about 200 people were in the audience, and this was his quote. "Every year that I've been here, you've gotten a raise, and every year I'm here, you're going to get a raise." Like, I have never heard such a statement about anything like of importance, like, every year that I'm here, special ed will be fully funded, or every year that I'm here, we'll make, the business climate better and lower taxes. Oh, no, his only focus is to make sure they get their raises.
You never hear, hey, I'll make sure that we fund the state police to the levels we should be funding the state police. No, you don't get that.
No, don't ever hear, or, they have, I know the police are upset about that police accountability bill. Yeah. I don't ever hear, like, every year I'm here, I'm going to make the job easier for our law enforcement. You never hear this, but it was actually very shocking, and it was actually very sad because he's in charge of negotiating with these unions. Yeah. And he's supposed to be coming with a plan that not only works for the employees, but also for the taxpayers who are paying the bill. And if you're negotiating, I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with negotiating other than, negotiating my own salary. Yeah. You don't go in like telling them what they're going to get. Like, how is that a negotiation?
Well, and you're one of the people watching this whole budget process, Megan, who said that, okay, they may not give them in the first year of the contract, but it may happen in the second year, but be applied retroactively. Did I read that right?
Yeah. So also last week, we had a couple big meetings, one in the appropriations where we've gotten like the legislation's first run at the governor's budget. Yeah. And they bumped up a bunch of stuff from even what the governor had asked for. And there was something suspiciously missing from the first fiscal year of the budget. And that was raises for the state employees. So doesn't mean they're not getting a raise. It means they're kicking the can down the road of when that's going to be funded. So the lawmakers who just got into the office, so this is their first term or first year of their term, and then there's next year. So that budget covers those 2 fiscal years, and then they're up for re-election again. But when they come back again to do the next biennial budget,
sure,
there's going to have to be about $150 million in there just to cover the retroactive part of it, because there's no one saying that they're not going to get a raise. It's just, we're not done negotiating right now, which is, and I find it hard to believe. How are you not done negotiating? You flat out told, the union that you're negotiating with that they're getting raises. So there's definitely things that are going on. It's typical with these union negotiations. They're all done behind closed doors. We pay the bill, but we don't even, we can't even get copies of even basic, like when they go into negotiations with unions, they usually set these ground rules up before they even start, like things they can talk about and then how the negotiations are going to go. There really isn't like that much revealing information in that, but I can't even FOIA that. Like I have no access to any information going on right now with the negotiations.
Megan Portfolio is a guest from the Hartford Portfolio blog at the Yankee Institute. Okay, let's move into full head-splitting mode now. The head-cracking mode. The guardrails. The spending cap. What's under that?
Who needs guardrails or a spending cap? I mean, we only had a ballot initiative. I forgot what year it was now. I'm
92.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
80% of Connecticut voters wanted a spending cap. Pretty much most of the state wants this, and they don't care. They don't care.
So where is this right now? Because I'm constantly seeing, well, that may be under the. We can move that from under the cap. Like, try to tell us right now at 5:23 where we are here.
Okay, so the what they're proposing right now, obviously this is going to change. Just it's typical. They'll end up putting rats in the bill and other stuff. But today, we're looking at a $55.7 billion 2-year budget. Okay. That is $215 million over the spending cap.
All right. Okay.
But that's okay, because then the next day, I think it was on a Wednesday, there was the Finance Committee. And we're going to make up for that because we're going to increase taxes for the wealthy. So they want to do a capital gains tax, and just to really stick it to the rich people because they're not paying enough in taxes. Well, none of us are paying enough in taxes apparently because we can't fund this government.
So are those tax bills actually going to go somewhere? Because you know how the governor is with raising taxes on a lot of people that he knows in Lower Fairfield County.
Yeah, it was interesting. There was actually a couple Democrats that voted against that tax. I think they call them the blue dogs. Yes. I don't actually know who's in this blue dog group. I'd love to meet them all. But yeah, not everyone's happy about this. This is more of a Martin Looney progressive. Yeah. The unions and the progressive activists want this because they just want to fund everything, and the way we do that is just keep taxing rich people.
Well, okay. Anything that you're looking for, Megan Portfolio, in the next 2 or 3 days that we should be watching for? Committee votes, stuff moving in and out of committee, debates coming up. Anything pique your interest, or just slogging through it?
This is that weird time where I'm on edge. I'm like, because as time runs out, that's when the shadiness kicks in.
Oh my God!
But this is I think next week is going to be my last week of normal work week. Okay. They're doing basic bills right now. Yeah. Nominations. There was a big gun bill this week. I expect. What are they calling abortion? Reproductive rights.
Yeah.
We're going to see some of that coming up soon, and then it's just there's the whole energy thing that they're trying to lower our rates, and the only thing I've really seen so far pushed out of the Energy Committee was a bill that would actually increase our public benefits charges.
Great.
They want to add heads to the
Great.
sitting council. So I haven't really seen anything. that's going to lower our electric bills. The only thing I've really seen is this would actually bump up our public benefits charge. But they promise us, the government promises us, it'll cost us just a little bit more now, but it'll pay off in the long run.
That's
and
all.
You know how
I mean,
we can just always trust what government says.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you and I see the same numbers here. We're number 2 behind Hawaii in average monthly electric bills, but we're only $10 a month behind. So, hey, we're slacking here. We should be number 1 in most expensive bills, shouldn't we?
Oh, my goodness. We should be number 1 in the galaxy at this point.
Thanks, Megan.
Never mind the country.
Megan Portfolio, Hartford Portfolio, the Yankee Institute. Megan, thanks. Appreciate it.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Megan Portfolio there. She gets paid to watch and read and dissect all this stuff. Yeah, come on, folks. We're only $10 a month in Connecticut behind Hawaii, right? Come on, we're slacking there. Let's get the most expensive electric bills in the country. Why not? Even beyond the, as they say, the lower 48. Traffic and weather together right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 northbound crash, exit 41 as things backed up past the mall. Southbound delays start on Long Wharf. In Lower Fairfield County, 95 north, over an hour Greenwich to Bridgeport. The Parkway really is only slightly better. Traffic report is powered by Kitchen Corner. Visit Kitchen Corner in Fairfield, the headquarters for your cooking needs and grilling essentials. Offering expert knife sharpening, 203-374-1118 or kitchen-corner.com. I'm Edge Krause, WICC Traffic.
Clouding over this evening. There will be a few widely scattered showers after midnight with a low near 60. On Wednesday, sunny with a high in the low 70s. Thursday, partly sunny with a high in the mid 60s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut, broadcasting from Cadillac of Greenwich Studios, CadillacofGreenwich.com.
Hey, it's Melissa Sheketoff. If you need anything relating to the trees on your property, then look no further than my friends at K&J Tree Service. For a limited time, they are offering 0% financing options off of all of their services. There are no hidden fees, and they have flexible payment plans as well to make your dream yard a reality. So what are you waiting for? Go to kjtreeservice.com. You can book your free assessment today. That's kjtreeservice.com, or you could text them for that free assessment. 203-248-TREE.
Connecticut Mega Millions is bigger than ever, with larger, faster-growing jackpots and bigger secondary prizes. Bigger than ever. Oh, and did we mention now every play automatically includes a multiplier that increases all non-jackpot prizes by up to 10 times? Yeah, bigger than ever. Play Connecticut Mega Millions today. Overall odds 1 in 23.1. Jackpot odds 1 in 291 million. Must be 18 or older. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org.
Inflation is at a 40-year all-time high, and with a recession looming, having an airtight plan is essential. Understanding your plan and how your money is working for you, not against you, is key.
It comes down to education. Knowledge is power. In this situation, when people get to that point, they understand what they're doing and they get to enjoy their retirement stress-free.
Tune in to Mastering Your Wealth with David Gagnon every Saturday morning at 8, right here on WICC 600.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Brief. President Trump is marking 100 days of his administration with a trip to Michigan and a softening of tariffs for U.S. automakers. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
They'll be scaling back some of the tariffs on auto manufacturers, specifically the ones involving supplies needed for auto parts, steel and aluminum. There's some complicated math to it, but in essence, they won't be paying tariffs on those anymore.
The markets were generally enthusiastic. Kelly O'Grady of Money Watch.
The investors that I'm talking to are sort of getting back in the sectors where they think that this is going to be a positive, but they are still very cautious because we have seen this change so rapidly, which gets to that uncertainty point.
More than 73 million people are under severe weather alerts. Meteorologist Grant Gilmore.
Watching out for very large hail, damaging winds, some tornadoes, but also the threat for flash flooding is going to build across the Central Plains as we go into the mid and second half of the week.
The Dow finished 300 points higher. CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9. Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Governor Ned Lamont and other state Democratic leaders held a news conference earlier today on the topic of President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office. One of the subjects the governor was particularly irate about was the administration's stance on immigration.
I don't go out of my way picking a fight, but I think they're coming to Connecticut trying to pick a fight.
Yeah.
And they're lying. They pretend every single immigrant is somehow a criminal. We go out there every day. We round up criminals. We make sure our streets are safe. They're not going after criminals. They're threatening our schools. They're threatening our hospitals. They're threatening our courthouses, going after people who just didn't happen to be born in this country. Now they're a 17-year-old senior at Middletown High School. Those are the people we're going to stand up and fight for and protect every day.
The man known as the Connecticut Cannibal Killer will soon be released from prison on what is called conditional release. But the victim's family is deeply angered and troubled by this, especially as new information about the killer is now coming to light. Tyree Smith killed Angel Toon Gonzalez in Bridgeport in 2013 and then ate part of the victim's brain and eyeball in a nearby cemetery, washing it down with sake. In March, Smith was granted conditional release after the state's Psychiatric Security Review Board voted unanimously to grant Smith psychiatric release, stating that expert testimony reflected that Smith was safe to be released. Conditional release means that all of his treatment and care will be done in the community and